This is the 18th special for the One Piece podcast, and we are here to talk about some really insane announcements that we were not expecting. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve. Happy 18.
We've done 18 of these in 15 years, so you know it's a big deal. We have with us special guests, including our very special guest translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump and Manga Plus. We have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
What's up? Pretty good.
We have Maji Media editor, streamer at Game Apartment 1C. Trying to think of a apartment pun, but I can't. We have Dan. How's it going, Dan?
The bills are expensive. That's not a joke. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's a terrible entrance. It's going pretty good. How about you guys?
Good.
Do trust the D in Apartment 1C.
I resent that.
And finally, our editor, Delaney. Delaney of the upcoming Lupin Theory podcast. How's it going?
I'm all right. 12:30, and I'm ready to roll.
Awesome. We're all very awake, very, very ready to talk about this big news. So I was not planning on having a podcast this week for several reasons, and Jump Festa had other ideas. It actually feels like a very 2010 sort of thing. It's like, oh, we have to get everyone together because there's a big thing that was just announced.
It's Jump Festa, guys. You know, surely something exciting could happen. Let's live podcast it.
Yeah, I say, boy, what day is it?
Why, it's Jump Festa Day, sir.
We used to have Greg
not
on
too late.
for 7 hours of commentary and discussion because it was not available to anyone in or out of Japan unless you were there. Boy, have things changed because it was streaming this year with English subtitles. I don't know if that's the first time that's happened, but here we are.
No, they did that last year, too.
Okay. Second time, then. Thank you,
Possibly.
Steve. We'll figure it out. We're going to talk about the announcements from that, and then we'll do a little reminiscing on the year 2023 that was. So I think first we should talk about the big news, and that's that One Piece is going to be an anime, finally, after 27 years.
This is what we've been asking for this whole time. You've been saying it for years, Zach.
Yeah,
especially.
We have.
Finally, they're going to adapt
Yeah.
One Piece into an anime. But this is going to be a very different type of anime. WIT Studio is going to be handling it, I think in partnership with Toei and Shueisha and Netflix, and probably 8 other partners. It's going to be, I think, a limited run series starting from the beginning, in that I don't think it's going to be going every week for the end of time, but we don't have confirmation on that necessarily. And we know it's going to start in the East Blue, and it's going to use cutting-edge technology, which I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I want to go around. First of all, I'm sorry, WIT Studio did Ranking of Kings, did Spy Family, and apparently the show Attack on Titan, which I don't have opinions about. So thoughts on this, Steve? I'm curious what you thought of it when you woke up this morning.
I was like in shell shock this morning, to be honest. I was told when I was half awake, thought I misheard something, and then my phone was blowing up. I thought we were just in for another Jump Festa where they brought out all the Straw Hat Seiyu. They say some lines that are upcoming in Egghead. Fun. Oda's going to be like, boy, this year sure was something, huh? I wonder if Blankety Blank is going to make it out of Blankety Blank this time. Something going to happen. And that would be it.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
That is not the case this year. An overwhelming amount of news came out of this, but I think people have been saying this shit since Dragon Ball Kai was an actual thing that was airing. It's like they should make a One Piece
Piece
Kai.
Kai,
And
yeah.
I always thought it's never going to happen, or at least it's not going to happen
in
until
our
the series
lifetime.
ends. Yeah.
Well, 15 years
And
later, 16 years later.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, they ran out of other ideas, but it's just not only that, like specials and stuff I get, but I never was the person that said, "Oh yeah, just watch episode of East Blue, and you know the whole story." No, they're not. They're supplemental material. They're not replacements. But for them to do another anime, I'm guessing a condensed. It's got to be a condensed, truncated version of what we've already seen, with another studio. While the original anime is still running, I can't get over it, and I'm sure some people are like, don't take my tone as like I hate this. No, I'm just
It's more One
I'm
Piece.
astounded by
How could you
this.
hate it?
Yeah, no, I'm just like I just this is something I just was not expecting, and it just feels like a whole new undertaking, and there's just so much One Piece out there now. And
Steve,
like,
is
this
it
just
sinking in that you're going to be doing podcasting till the heat death of the universe? Is that starting
I
to
think
sort
so.
of
I think that's
percolate
another
in your
thing, too.
head?
Finally, immortality. All it took was One Piece never ending.
I saw my life, the future of my life flash before my eyes, which is usually not how it works, but
I've seen things you wouldn't believe. I've seen Luffy fight Buggy in Orangetown.
Steve on the moon.
I've seen
like
Luffy
Dr.
fight
Manhattan.
Buggy in Orangetown. I've seen Luffy fight Buggy in Orangetown.
Delaney's reference is lost on me, but I
That's
got
Blade
it.
Runner.
Oh,
Watch a movie, Steve.
Blade Runner.
Now,
I've
Steve,
watched
you
Blade
know,
Runner once. Okay, I have watched that movie.
Steve, now you know what it's like to be the rest of us around Steve Yurko.
But like, there's so much to get into here on the implications of this. But I don't know. A lot happened this morning. I mean, Rick Sanchez is Vegapunk.
Hey, spoilers.
There's a lot to take in here. But I just thought, like, holy crap! What does this mean? Like, is this going to flood the market? I doubt it. But like, is Toei cool with this?
Well,
Like,
That's really interesting.
There's so much I want to get into. It's
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
so
I think where One Piece is, because I'll just say this, the biggest complaint about One Piece you'll hear from anybody that isn't a wuss and hasn't already committed. I have to laugh and just make sure people know I'm being facetious here. Like, the biggest complaint, number one complaint, is it's too long. And I get it. Like, especially if you're an anime watcher, that is a lot
that's a lot.
of anime. That's a lot of anime to take in. So it only makes sense to like make like a shorter, like kind of, newer update. And it's also because the series has been running since the late 90s, and it looks like it in those first couple hundred episodes.
For good and for
guess,
bad.
Like, it makes like this is how you're going to attract new people to this, and ultimately, I think the underlying goal is to get more people to read the manga. That's where it all comes to. So it's like whatever works, and I think One Piece has been suffering that, not just here in the States where it's kind of finally starting to catch on, but for Japan where I think it's just kind of I don't want to say dwindling in popularity, but I think it's not growing its fan base because younger kids don't want to commit to like a show with thousands of episodes that started well before they were born.
Yeah, they only have more time than any of us. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Don't complain, kids. You have all the freaking time in the world.
You're invincible.
Sorry. I'm also being facetious here and joking.
So am I.
It's an audio-only podcast. You can't see me smiling as I do this. But I don't want to take too much talking points from everybody else, but just there's so much to discuss here. This is why we got together to record something, because it's like, how could we not talk about this? It's just too big.
The fact that it is a Netflix production tells me that it tells me a couple of things, which is that they're probably looking at this as with the live action show too, as like this is a serious investment on Netflix's part, or that they this is a partnership that they see lasting and growing. And Steve said it's 1,000 episodes, and it's also 1,000 episodes where like the average episode quality is mid. Like the show as a whole is not going to knock your socks off. There's great material, obviously there are great individual episodes, but there's just a lot of slop in there. And so I think they probably looked at it as like, yeah, it's a 25-year-old show for people who are starting out. So, if we redo it and we really get the most out of, this classic material, that's an even better way to get people into the series as a whole, and to be able to commit to the length of it. It does feel like sacrilege that it's like a non-Toei. It's just like, what does that even mean? How is that possible? Very strange.
You could be getting in One Piece with 3 episodes volume, and it all looks as good as an episode of the first season of Vinland Saga. That was also WIT Studio, which I really enjoyed. It was one of the
that's one of the ones I
recently.
forgot. Yeah.
But it's. I think putting it on Netflix and having it sort of do a staggered release. They do their Netflix sort of season releases or half seasons or whatever they call them. I think it'll be like it's like an OVA series back in the day, really.
They apparently call it an ONA on Wikipedia.
Original net animation, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so there it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is basically
One Piece,
an OVA.
OVA.
Those would run the
goddamn
One
One
Piece.
Piece.
We're also on the One Piece podcast, starting in 2020, whatever.
My single is dropping. That's
it. That's the one. I was gonna. What was I gonna? Oh, OVAs would sometimes come out at the same time as series, right? Back in the day. So I mean, is this, I guess, so unprecedented in that regard?
It's
just a very different
for a series to be this long in the first place.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
yeah,
and still be this popular. Like, they're not doing this for Detective Conan. They still make movies and stuff, but like, they're not going to go back and do that from the beginning.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that's like this is stuff like Detective Conan. Stuff that's been in long running. Like, what's that other
Shonen
really
Magazine or Shonen Sunday?
Yeah, like Shonen Sunday stuff. There's I always forget the long name title of it. But it's the one about the
Chibi Maruko-chan. No, not
Chibi Maruko-chan's one of them, and then the one with
Saze-san?
Saze-san, yeah, like where there's been multiple
2,600 episodes, still in production, and that's always been that's always at the top of the charts in Japan. Delaney, I'm curious. So you're from the generation we're all talking about, I guess. What are your thoughts, Delaney, on the?
Ouch. I mean, I actually want to go back to Stephen's point about it being a Netflix show, because that's sort of the thing that jumped out at me, particularly because I remember that push when they were really, really, really trying to court like the big names of anime. Like, it started with Bebop. They had big plans for Evangelion, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted to be the home of Evangelion, and that if that's going to manifest, we have no idea beyond we redubbed the show and Eva just lives here now. And even then that didn't stick because the rebuilds went on Amazon Prime. But it tells me a couple things that Netflix or Netflix Japan, because I don't know like sort of who sort of the major correspondent, the first point of contact is, and obviously Netflix anime is sort of a whole different world from big boy Netflix, which has way more purview with One Piece. But nevertheless, Oda got on good enough with those guys that he wanted to or would agree to do a show like this, and B, that Netflix sees this as like a big investment, which the latter point I understand, because One Piece did good. Lopla did pretty good. All things considered, it got pretty good reviews. Everyone had a pretty positive response to it. It definitely did better than Bebop. But I just find that so fascinating, especially because Netflix is now historically terrible at maintaining those kinds of relationships.
Yep.
Like, it's burned so many bridges, and Oda has somehow come out with like this beautiful little nugget of like, I get to be in charge of this, I get to be in charge of this, I get to do like, I will be supervising, but if you have ideas, we can work together. I'm curious to know where he sort of wanted to take this, and it's weird. It is weird from the perspective of like Brotherhood. They waited to make Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah, but the early One Piece is out of a completely different era of animation. It's like watching a historical document. It's not something people would watch for enjoyment anymore. Kids these days who are watching anime on Netflix are like, what is this? What is this classic anime? What is this
pillar box?
Ratio?
Yeah.
Why doesn't it fill
the lines on the side? They don't. Why are there big black lines where nothing is? Or not that young. Jesus Christ!
Or why is it cropped at the top?
Right.
I mean, One Piece was also the number 4 most searched show, not just Netflix show, of 2023, only getting beaten up by whatever Ginny and Georgia is, Wednesday and The Last of Us. I've heard of those. And it makes sense. I think it was Dan Dockery who posted, though, like, in the year 1997, we get to experience the East Blue Saga. In the year 1999, we get to experience it. In the year 2017, we get to experience it. In the year 2023.
Dr. Manhattan meme.
Yep. And it definitely does feel like that. The one thing I wanted to mention, though, is that the poster, that the only image, really, that came out of this has the names Shueisha, Toei Animation, Fuji Television, WIT Studio, and Netflix. Yeah. First thing I want to say...
Doesn't Toei own the general license for One Piece?
Toei are the big dogs,
yeah.
So I don't think this would have happened without them. However, this had to be Eiichiro Oda's brainchild. Like, period, bar none. I don't think this would have happened if Oda was not really pushing it, because there's no way Toei would have wanted this to happen. On the other hand, they must have come to some sort of profit sharing or whatever it is agreement.
There's a business.
Some truck full of money. Like, and thirdly, and I'll stop talking for a bit after this. This will help the longer anime as well, and it will help the movies as well. Because I'm thinking, like, I wasn't really able to get into Detective Conan or any of those, like, super long series, but if they did something like this for those series, hell yeah, I would watch that.
They did it for especially with Yatsura this last season, didn't they?
Right, yeah.
And that adaptation's really good, too.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's a really good idea, I think. And sorry, there was one more thing I wanted to say, and that's that when the live action series was announced back in 2017, and I'm sure you've heard this if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, but we said, good or bad, having more One Piece, like, in a different place where it will expose new people is going to be good no matter what, because it will introduce new people to the series. And even still, there are, I'd say most of the world still does not know what One Piece is. I'll take that leap. And this is going, and if we've learned anything from the anime and the high caliber quality over the last few years, we know that good animation and good storytelling really go a long way into bringing in new audiences and younger audiences. And so I'm personally really looking forward to this, and more importantly, really looking forward to how this affects the community in a few years, I assume. Sorry, there were a few other people who want to say things, right? Ed, Dan, did you get to say your piece?
3 things came to mind when I originally saw the poster after waking up after sleeping for like almost 23 hours. So first is like the part in The Simpsons where Lisa's standing in front of the Malibu Stacy dolls and says like, stop, it's still the same, yada, yada, yada. And I just could not help but hear Smithers saying, but Luffy's got a new hat. Just because it's going to probably be like different character designs and such. Not to say that in like a cynical way, but like it's going to be interesting to see what kind of character designs they come out with, just because, again, to everyone else's point, the original anime, like has a very distinct style that isn't, it's like it's close to Oda's original design, but only slightly. So I'm wondering if they're going to take a more recent approach, like with all the different flashbacks that Oda's done recently. Are they going to do character designs based off of that? Or are they going to try and do what they've done with other properties and make it a 1-for-1, and go along with how characters looked from the very beginning and then evolving it that way. But again, that's going to be contingent upon, how long this series is going to run. Two, like, I couldn't help but think of, I think it's Cheap Trick. It's an old Todd Barry joke where he's talking about, like, hey, if your band has 2 drummers, that's fucked up. Like, you're taking away from one drummer. And this kind of feels like like the pre-existing anime was already doing a pretty good job keeping the beat and drumming the drums of liberation. And then all of a sudden this other drummer shows up that's just like, hey, look at me. Like just working the cymbals. We'll see how well this integrates and, what it's going to do as a whole. I guess to everyone else's point, like, more One Piece is always good. It's not a detriment because the original series is there. It's been there for over 20 years at this point. So it's accessible. It's there for people to watch. But yeah, like my third and final thought was like, okay, this is Netflix capitalizing on something good for once. This is them like finally realizing like, oh wow, okay, like we got something here. And it was already said, but yeah, like it's a business. This is a way for them to be able to reprint old volumes. This is a way for them to re-release the anime. But my hope of all hopes is that this is a way for them to finally release the old movies. Like if people take an interest in like, okay, there's more animated One Piece and people are hungry for it, maybe they'll finally go, hey, we've got more One Piece while you're waiting for this One Piece. So check out this One Piece while you're waiting for One Piece to watch One Piece.
Dan, that actually... So I think the guy who made WIT Studio used to work at Production IG. And the thing that is popping into my head is the Ganzak special, which they did run recently on their YouTube channel, the official one, for One Piece. And that is a good example of, it looks like Oda's style, but it also looks completely different from what Toei has shown for the last 25 years. Right. And so, personally, I want to see something different. If I'm watching One Piece again, I want it to be completely different.
Well, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same old Toei sound files, sound effects files.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be really weird and jarring to listen to.
And music. I'm sure Koei Tanaka... I'd be shocked if Koei Tanaka was still...
More than the music, like, is Netflix US going to insist on a different dubcast? Is there
like they did with Evangelion?
Yes, probably. I think that one is the most certain change.
I mean, in Japanese, they could use the same actors, I suppose, but I mean...
Right.
Well,
I will say, in Evangelion's case, there was a big shift in terms of what they... Not to get all historian here, but long story short, when Funny had the license for the rebuilds, I think there's an urban legend, I don't know how corroborated this is, that an exec was in the audience at a convention and they saw people going nuts and they were like, this is all wrong, this is not the response. So they then went back and had way
it was 3.0 screening.
Yeah.
3.0 with all the gay stuff in it, and they were like, what the fuck's going on? So they went back and they doctored the scripts way, way, way more heavily. And they were like, we need this now to be... And I think that's for the worst because the scripts are just so stiff. This is not how people talk. So I think that the Netflix thing was also we need this to be closer to the text. We need it to be closer to what we intended because it's been misappropriated. I don't get the vibe of that with this sort of thing, or at least not with Oda, because Oda's always had a degree of it's never come up if it's ever been a problem for him. So and there's never really been any big deviations. At least I don't know, have there been any big deviations from the text and any of the dub stuff.
Kara, formerly known as Gynax, is kind of famously very prickly and very they're very hands-on with their with the Evangelion stuff. I think often to its detriment. So that's kind of a unique case, I think. And yeah, I would agree that Oda is very much more flexible.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder, I don't know the intricacies of this. Steve probably knows it more because I know you're in the dub world by interest, not by profession. Although Dr. Fishbone. But Steve. But I don't know if it's a union
Thanks,
issue.
Delaney.
I don't know if it's...
Had to get one.
I mean, Steve, you're our dub expert, is what I mean to say. Would this, let's say Oda and all the studios want the same people. Is it even... Do you think it's even possible to bring in
on the
that?
English side?
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. I couldn't stop thinking about this morning, and then like this kind of hit me a half hour later. I'm like, how is it going to be the same English cast? Because for lots of reasons. Well, first, apparently it was brought to my attention. I didn't realize there was a Black Clover movie that I guess came out through Netflix that apparently they maintained the dub cast when the dub is produced through Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll, Netflix, two very different companies who I'm sure are in constant competition with each other. Crunchyroll, obviously, formerly Funimation as well, have been producing the English dub of One Piece since 2007. Now I think it is produced by Toei Animation,
I believe,
and it just so happens to be recorded at Crunchyroll.
You can see it change when the credits changed.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you could tell. Oh, you could also just look at if you still buy the DVDs. By the way, DVDs and Blu-rays is something we used to buy to watch One Piece.
Used to?
Back in the day.
Yeesh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm behind. I'm
behind,
I'm still
too.
always back and forth. I'm like, should I switch to the collections or stick to the
Well,
voyages?
now you could just wait for the WIT Studio version to come out on DVD,
boy.
Blu-ray.
Yeah,
But-
wait forever for that.
Crunchyroll, if you kind of, if you're into like the anime scene and, you live under a rock, you didn't know, Crunchyroll is no stranger to controversy, especially with a lot of actors vying for unionization with a lot of their dubs. Some dubs Crunchyroll does produce are union dubs, but not all of them are. Same with Netflix. I can't help but wonder, like, say if this Netflix One Piece production, if it's a union production, what does that mean? Like, also, because, like, Crunchyroll, I think One Piece is one of the exceptions, but a lot of their dubs, they're limiting it to, you got to be in Texas. You have to be a local to work. They want all their actors to be local.
Probably because the labor laws are so stringent in
And, like,
Texas.
the fact that, like, Toei is the one, is backing this One Piece dub, if it's if this WIT Studio One Piece is competition, then they're like, well, I can't imagine them not being like, well, screw you, you don't get our actors for your One Piece. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like, I'm not saying anything with confirmation. This is just all theory at the moment.
speculation.
Like I'd find it very hard to believe that they'd be like, no, go ahead, or because I don't get it because like Shueisha doesn't care, because Shueisha, I'm sure Shueisha like, hey, it's we own
Whatever
One Piece,
makes
so it
us
doesn't matter.
money. Yeah.
But obviously they're going to keep like the Japanese voice actors to Seiyu. There's no way. I think in Japan, there's no way you're doing the One Piece anime without the original actors.
That's been
Mayumi,
basically confirmed. Yeah.
Mayumi Tanaka is doing a voice in that trailer,
Yeah.
so. I can't imagine, like, because I feel like part of it's competition, a part of it is union stuff, but I would like to see consistency. I think you have so many of these actors have been playing these characters for nearly 20 years. I think, they definitely deserve to reprise these roles, but I am no stranger to the fact that when it comes to voiceover, I'll put this bluntly, companies don't give a shit. And unfortunately, sometimes you could have, you'll have fans that are very outspoken, and they raise a stink over people getting recast. Unfortunately, I feel like that doesn't always show when it comes down to it. When it's putting your money where your mouth is. I think there's been too many unfortunate situations where. Like shows, anime, video games, whatever, people get recast, and people still watch it, people still buy them, and all that stuff. So unfortunately, I'm going to say this too. I don't think the English dub is popular enough where it's like, no, you have to do this. I think first of all, I think the majority of people enjoying One Piece these days aren't even reading it legally. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Watching it, I think
Probably more than
unless you're a Sakuga nut who really has to watch this anime as soon as it airs, I don't understand why you'd go out of your way to pirate the One Piece anime when it shows up on most of these streaming. I'm saying Crunchyroll when it shows up within like an hour, but I'm not about to get into semantics there. But I can't help but wonder what this English version is going to look like. My gut instinct tells me, I'm like, you're going to be singing new English voices for this, and I think they could, they could just use the excuse like, oh, it's a different interpretation, despite the fact that most likely the Japanese cast will be the same for the most part. I think like you'll have your side characters that'll be recast in the Japanese version because that's just what happens over time. It happened in Dragon Ball Kai. Like
they're not going to replace like Shigeru Chiba or something like that.
No, like
why not?
Yeah, like I think like important villains and that, but like side like I wouldn't put it past them if the Meow Band brothers have different voices.
Oh, no.
Version.
Not the Meow Band brothers.
Oh, not the Meow Band brothers.
Yeah.
But
I can't help but wonder. Like I said, I would love for that consistency because I think these actors that have been like I said that have been on this series for so long, I think they deserve to be there for it. But I in my personal opinion, I feel like the chances are more unlikely than they are likely, but I would love to be proven wrong.
Dan, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I'm curious to see how much money and capital goes behind having to do auditions, because it just seems like, from a business perspective, like how much easier it would be to just not have to go through the audition process.
And Oda insists on improving all the voices like he did the first time with the
right, exactly. Sure. Yeah, and if they're already approved, then Oda's just like, I don't have time for this. I got gag comics to draw, guys. Like, I just wonder like what the carryover for that is, but also I wouldn't, to Steve's point, I wouldn't put it past studios to be like, oh, we can pay less if we hire.
I was
going
to say, in-house, I'm sure is a cheaper proposition. Generally, it's whether that cost outweighs the other. I was also going to add, this is kind of a unique circumstance. So the thing that pops into my mind, if you don't listen to 4Kids Flashback with Steven Tower, you should. But I was just listening to the episode when Norman Grossfeld, the former president of 4Kids, and it's immensely interesting. Ooh. You should definitely listen. And they talk about the transition of Pokemon out of 4Kids and to the Pokemon Company, and how the dubbing kind of moved from there. The difference here is that no matter what, the former Funimation, current Crunchyroll cast will still be doing their roles ad infinitum until One Piece ends.
In the Toei version, at least.
In the Toei version, which is still so ever present. It's not gonna, as we'll talk about later, it's not going into Sweet Good Night or anything like that. It will be still very present, and I know the One Piece anime community behind, the Sakuga community, the community behind the simulcast is so strong and so outspoken. And the dub community, like I don't think that it's a different circumstance. It's not like it doesn't, even if it changes, it doesn't feel like if I were in the circumstance of Colleen or any of the other voice actors or actresses, like it would suck, but at least I could still be this character in the mainstay that, like the thing that is setting records. I could say I've been Luffy for 1,000 or 3,000 episodes, however long it goes. And movies and probably all that stuff, because I assume Toei is still going to be doing all that.
I just think there's more consistency on the Japanese side. I feel like Japanese side is like, sometimes they'll keep these seiyuu going as long as possible. Delaney could speak for that with Lupin. I mean, the original voice of Jigen only just recently stepped down in the last
Kiyoshi Kobayashi did that for 15 years.
He stepped down, and I think maybe like a couple months after the fact, he actually passed. So literally the last minute. I was actually going to bring up, because we mentioned like consistency. I don't really know how many other opportunities like this happen, but I do remember specifically, and I don't know if this has any corroboration, but when they were doing the CGI movie, I think that they took all of the dub casts, like TMS did, and they were like, all right, which one's the most popular, which one's the most consistent, and that's how they landed on the Jenny On folks, the Richard Epcar crew. And that's sort of like, but that's also because
Oh yeah, because
they
that was
spread-
G Kids. That was G Kids. That
forgot.
That was the G Kids one.
Yeah.
So,
wasn't
and I think it
Discotheque
was,
or anybody else, yeah.
I think it was Michael Sinterklaas's recording.
Senator
Or
Nicholas.
that did-
NYAV Post, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy,
I think yes.
happy Mike Sinterklaas, everyone.
Hey, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Sorry. No, that, to be fair, that name on paper is not an easy one.
Sinterklaas.
Sinterklaas.
It just sounds like Santa Claus the more you mess with it.
Santa? No,
Wait,
I'm
so-
Dean. Dean
so-
Venture.
So has Mike Senator Nicholas been in 3 different versions of One Piece then? Because he was... Was he in the Funimation? He was in the Funimation.
No, we were
too,
talking
right?
about-
He is in the Funimation
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
The
He's
Four
voice
Kids.
of-
I'm sorry.
he's the voice
This is tangential.
he's the
Mr.
voice of
Nine.
Disco.
Oh, Disco.
Do you remember Disco, Zach?
I do remember Disco from the auction house. Yeah.
Disco will never die.
Disco.
Yeah, Disco.
Yeah,
never died.
Disco will never die. Disco
Oh, so that's cool. I didn't know that. That's a fun fact we have.
My point being that but that's the thing. They did not have a consistent group to pull from because there was the funny group. There have been like there's like two separate dubs of Cagliostro. So it was like we gotta pick a lane or else cast anyone else, and that's just not going to work.
Yeah,
So
let's not get into like all the Digimon.
No,
castings
God,
for their
yeah.
dubs all those years.
But One Piece doesn't have that, which is why it's a little bit more precarious, because not only have they been the only person, outside of the Four Kids group, but the Four Kids group come back for the Netflix, they overcorrect.
That would be
We're getting the
actually
original
really
originals.
interesting. Because they're all like we've talked about. They're all really talented actors who were. What did I say last time? Or I guess next time when you listen, instead of 1,000 monkeys at a typewriter writing Shakespeare, it's 1,000 Shakespeare at a typewriter writing the One Piece dub. It's just, kind of crazy how that develops. So that would be a cool thing to see. Where were we?
Kind of talking about dub. It's something that I want is like that's still like ringing through my mind. I just want to bring up for it gets lost. How long does it go for? Because it's like they're not gonna redo Wano, It's like I'm like, what's the lifespan of this? Does
is this
all like the 4x3?
Is it seasonal?
Era One Piece?
Are you guys not excited to spend another 5 years in Wano? Is this something which concerns you?
Well,
I think they could get through it in 2 to 3 tops.
I was gonna say it's Netflix, so 8 to 16 episodes max.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the thing. I think like there's some other like the stuff that's made specifically for Netflix. I think like stateside and other stuff falls under that 8 episode category. I think a lot of anime that is Netflix exclusive
It's 12.
doesn't. They follow the typical anime season format.
12 episode course.
I'm really hoping that's the case with the One Piece because I can't watch East Blue condensed into 8 episodes again. I'm sorry. And not that like I hated the live action. I enjoyed the live action, but definitely some of it suffered because you had to get so much in there so amount of time. That's
How many times are we going to get a to be continued at the end of Alabasta? How many times?
Alabasta, I think, is like, in my personal opinion, I think that's truly when like you really start to feel some, some fluff there. I think in like Syrup Village too, of course, you could definitely lose an episode. But I think so. Like it's my personal opinion. I think so much stuff in that East Blue era is well paced, well directed, well composed.
Yep.
And I've like I said, like I was talking about this earlier today. I love the March to Arlong Park scene because I think it's just it's just a triumph, and it's still my favorite scene in the entire anime. It might just be my favorite One Piece scene, and I know it's like not even in the manga, but I've seen it replicated so many times, and it's never the same. But that's the thing; it can't be the same thing.
It won't. We don't want it to because that exists already. Why do we need a second of that? And it won't be like I wonder if the music could be different. Like all of the other aspects of it might be different. Steven, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say just very briefly. This might be me reading the tea leaves, but the usage of the phrase "starting from the East Blue arc" that might just be marketing speak, but that framing seems to suggest to me that they are looking at it in terms of seasons, like chunks of material, not like start the whole journey all over again. So that way at least they might be contained bits of One Piece, so that if it does not continue indefinitely, it still forms a certain package.
And it is One Piece. Talk about the Netflix model is like the original bingeable series, so like it does fit that model well. And if you want more, there's always the 2,000 episode version or whatever it's going to be at that point to dive into. There was one other line I wanted to talk about, and that is that it will be utilizing cutting-edge visual technology to reimagine Luffy's adventures through the beloved.
AI. Don't say AI.
AI might know. So I do want to say, and it was brought to my attention, I think, from a few people, that this studio, WIT Studio, was under some controversy for using AI in a production. The dog and the something. I forget.
Yeah.
And the question is, did they learn their lesson from that, or is this? It could just be my opinion when I read it. Is yes, that does raise some alarm bells, but maybe it's just comparing to 1997, what we were talking about. And yeah, it's cutting edge.
More 3D
what is
CG
cutting edge technology?
It sounds like a
for
Google
2D
Translate
animation
thing.
these days?
I don't know, Stephen, if you agree, but that feels like a thing written by someone who is not a native English speaker to describe. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean it's kind of a weasel word description, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like, hey, we're getting rid of in-betweeners by just tweening all of the keyframes with AI or something like that.
And it's all 60 frames per second.
Yeah, there we
animated
go.
60 frames per second, so everything will be anti-aliased, and everyone will say this is 4K Ultra.
Can they put in motion smoothing just so it get it in there?
Stop putting animation that's not 60 frames per second. 60 frames per second. God, I saw a tweet today. Someone uploaded the Darth Maul fight from Phantom Menace, 60 frames per second. Stop it! Stop it! It looks terrible.
Steve,
it's not a college football game. Stop this.
Steve puts out so much content that I've heard this rant like at least 5 times, like in the last few months. But he's right is the thing, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah.
The AI thing, I think, does. I mean, genuinely scare me in all of its incarnations, unless you're listening to this AI, in which case I love you, and I would never say anything terrible about you.
Let's shelve that discussion for later, since we actually don't know what this is going to be.
No, we don't. And
love you, baby.
or is there anything that you all want to talk about with this?
How about that title? It felt very The Real Ghostbusters as opposed to Ghostbusters.
Well, no, it's German for the One Piece.
No, it's English for the One Piece. Die One Piece.
No one that's German could ever do any evil.
By the way, that will be the German title. It will be Die One Piece.
Finally.
I just saw someone tweet at it's like this sent me earlier, and I'm gonna steal their joke. It's too good. We live in a world with Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I guess they missed their chance to call this one One Piece Nakama.
That's better than the joke I was going to make. Oh, there it is.
Oh, thank you, whoever hit their Zoom button.
I got you.
Thank you, Dan.
I got you.
Let's call it The One Piece. It's less clean and longer.
I was almost thinking someone should do the reverse of Justin Timberlake from the Social Network.
I was thinking of it, and I'm like, I don't know if this is worth my time.
Instead of One
making
Piece,
this
you
a
should call
tribute.
it The One Piece. Clunkier, messier.
There it is. We workshop that here. Steve, you have permission if you want to post that. He's already getting
This is
started.
your brain on podcasting.
Dude, I woke up this morning and I thought, like, can I make a meme out of this with Marge Simpson and with What's Wrong with My Sundays? But I realized the dialogue in that Simpsons episode doesn't mash up. But then again, I could have pulled a Weeb Simpsons and just pretend that was the dialogue. Yeah. And then a bunch of people on the internet for years will think that's what, like, fucking Sideshow Bob and Cecil were talking about.
Yeah, rules don't matter, Steve. Just lie. Just lie for fun.
Internet don't care. Everyone lies on the internet.
That's true. It's encouraged. You get a verification check if you lie. Sorry.
I love power levels. See? I'm doing it right now.
I think the title...
No, not again.
I think the title is what else could you name it, I guess? But the acronym is now TOP. And when you refer to it, it's not OP anymore. It's you're referring to TOP.
It's
And then it'll be Topla.
That's going to be very confusing in West Hollywood.
Topla, yeah, Topla. I don't know the stereotypes of West Hollywood. I like what they did with the title though, like the actual logo,
like just the design of it. Yeah, I like it. It's a little more like rounder, bouncy,
simpler, clunkier. No
rope, no
how are they
rope
gonna
and
fit
anchor. I think.
Shonen Jump on there.
No, yeah. The only thing
it needs to say the One Piece above the One Piece.
The One Piece, and then it will literally be die One Piece die.
One
See,
Piece
everyone
squared.
gets what they want. Yeah, I'm from even just this sketch that came out. I am getting Ranking of Kings vibes in it. The hopefully like the I don't even know how to describe that like animation style.
I was
like,
confused because I thought there was some sort of I thought it was one of like the CP0 agents just hanging out with Luffy on this cliff. What is going on? And I was like, oh, that's a small windmill.
Oh my god, it's Maha.
Yeah, Maha. That's the one. This is going to be a series just about Luffy and Maha
died
and their
so he could be
adventures.
reincarnated into the new One Piece.
Oh shit! They isekai'd One Piece.
Oh god.
What if I were reincarnated as Maha? Steven.
Of all things, I got "How Do You Live" poster vibes from this, sort of the ink.
Yeah.
that broke down. Jesus, is Oda already there? Is he already doing his "How Do You Live"? But just by doing One Piece again, so we got to go back to
Peepaw's got to finish the series.
Peepaw's got to finish, and then
I'm really blown away. I'm like, this is a really bold move. But then again, it's not like where it's Brotherhood, when Brotherhood finished up, it was like on the heels of the manga finishing.
No, it was on purpose, I think. They timed it. Yeah. The last episode of Brotherhood, for those who don't remember, came out the same time as the last chapter that week. That Arakawa had already written it and sent it in to the Brotherhood folks before. But I think that's one of the most incredible stunts, personally. I mean, Arakawa, I compare to Oda a lot. I think she really has mastered the medium of like
good
linear storytelling with like it seems jolly and happy and funny, but underneath it's super fucked up. It's a really specific art that I think those two encapsulate really well. I think Brotherhood, like Brotherhood worked perfectly. I like Brotherhood. There were issues at the beginning.
almost perfectly.
Not when it worked out very well. I really like Brotherhood as a series.
You just gotta get past those first 13 episodes.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll just rush through the first 1,090 episodes.
That's what I'm just kind of worried about, and just like.
Yeah, after Opla.
Like I said, I think the ultimate goal is to get people to read the manga. That's really what this is all about.
They could make improvements on it too. It's possible.
I'm just saying, is every interpretation of One Piece now just supposed to be like a road poneglyph, and they're all supposed to just kind of...
well, the interesting...
They're all going to intersect to the actual ending of the series?
I kind of hope. That would be kind of cool.
It's like a hack media blitz.
That is
There's
possible.
no way they're going to do that this fast with this.
No, probably.
adaptation.
Not with that attitude, Ed.
I don't know, man.
No.
They could pull Scott Pilgrim too. They could really pull the wool on their eyes.
Don't tempt me. Oh, that'd be.
I wish
One Piece.
You see, I wish that studio were doing it. I love Science Saga,
Sauter?
right? They are fantastic. They're very, very good.
The Masaki Yuasa box set is coming out this week.
I mean, maybe that's why I think they're so good.
Turns out the One Piece is the money we spent along the way.
You just see Luffy at the end with a wad of cash. Like,
why
thank you
Roger's
for
laughing.
reading.
Yeah.
He's
So am I going
laughing.
to have to collect all the WCFs of the One Piece characters now too?
Well, do you think like the designs,
heavy?
The designs could look completely different. That's the thing.
So that's what I'm
Like,
wondering. Yeah, like, are they going to be closer
More
to
merch.
Oda's? Are they going to get somebody to do specific designs for it? Like, because I know we're going to get into it, but the monsters character designs for that look drastically different from the source material.
Oh yeah, maybe we should
Yeah,
transition
probably.
into that
Yeah,
right
we
now.
haven't even talked about that. I thought that was gonna be like the big. I'm like, because I made like a tweet that's it's kind of I wouldn't say it aged poorly, but it's funny. It's like, oh, I'm interested in this. See like what another studio's interpretation of One Piece will be like. Because we haven't had anything animation wise. We haven't had anything like that since
And
the Gansek
the
special,
monkey's
and
paw curled.
Yeah. Well,
Is this
me.
what conversations were like when they started introducing new editions of the Bible, like way back in the early days of Christianity? This is
I think
kind
I
of
could
the
say
vibe I'm getting.
I could say this with assured
the King
confidence.
James One Piece?
Yes.
if only Yamato
that's
was
the-
real, so they could come in here and say to Delaney, "This is my Bible." Maybe.
Oh,
So,
So we'll transition here. The second there's been a lot of news, and I forgot about this. It was only like 4 days ago, and it feels like a century ago. The poster for the upcoming Monsters movie, Monsters being one of the stories in Wanted, the original set of short stories that Oda had published prior to One Piece. It's called Monsters 103 Mercies Dragon Damnation. It will be on Netflix. It is, I think, just one episode, like it's one special.
Yes.
Done by a new studio. I believe I forget the name. Sorry.
It is
off the top of my head.
called E&H Production, and that is helmed by, or that production company was started by Sung-Hoo Park, who is a director of Jujutsu Kaisen and Jujutsu Kaisen Zero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
And I don't know if that means, because he is clearly Korean, I don't know if that means like that's more of a Korean-based company, or if he's using like the connections that he built up in the Japanese animation industry or what. But yeah, there's not a lot of information about them.
There's been a lot more crossover, I feel like. I mean, I'm just thinking of like Dr. Stone, for example, because I think the mangaka for that, despite having opinions about him, I believe he's Korean.
Boichi. Yes.
Boichi. I wasn't going to say. But the style on this poster looks so vastly different from the original monster, certainly, and from Oda's design style and aesthetic. Do you all have any thoughts? Dan,
I think
or Steven. Sorry, Steven.
I think if you look at the, because they also released the character profile images, and if you look at them, yes, they do look different, but in aggregate, you do see more of Oda's, especially when you get to like some of the weirder characters, who have more of that kind of Oda's unique sort of ugly charm to them. So it is not quite as different as it appears at first, but it is definitely a different style, which is, again, prior to hearing about a One Piece being reanimated by a different studio, this seemed crazy to like, what do you mean it's not Toei's house style for One Piece? Like,
I mean, this kind of makes me want all of the Wanted shorts to come out, including like the original Romance Dawn stuff. With different studios, like an anthology series or something.
we got one of them.
Yeah, we did.
Animated for
It was an OVA.
the 20th anniversary of the anime.
Yeah.
Why am I forgetting?
You would know that if you watched the anime.
Oh, it came out with Yo Son Goku and his friends return. It was that year.
Oh, well, there's that one, and then there's the one for the 20th anniversary, which was with the fire guy that was played by Cho.
No.
It was the blue-haired Nami variant.
Oh, I know. No, the Romance Dawn. That's what you're talking. No, I know that.
The one
that
where
was in a different.
where Garp's in it.
But that was a toy. That was a regular. That was like an episode number, right?
Yeah, it was like a
Episode,
one-off episode.
See, I watched the anime.
Do you?
Sometimes. Not really. But sometimes. It would be. I think it would be cool to see it like a anthology style, like from different studios for each one. This one I'm looking forward to just because it looks so different, but it also takes place in the land of Wano specifically. A thing that I am positive.
No. No.
Oh,
no,
that's what it says. Maybe not take place, but it says the legendary swordsman that hails from the land of Wano in One
from
Piece.
hails from
Yes.
that does not mean it hails
You're right.
from Wano.
You're right. I
Character
misspoke.
Hails from Wano.
Oh, it definitely
I
hails
misspoke.
in Wano, but
What kind of island is Wano? Is that like a summer island? So is that?
It's
like
all of them.
springtime
yeah,
on
it's
Summer
Japan.
Island?
They have all the seasons.
They have
there.
all the seasons in Japan. In
You
fact,
guys sounded terrified. Terrified. No, we're not. We're not going back.
they
We're not.
have the best. They have the best seasons of Japan too.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. But it is interesting that they're tying Wano into it. Is what I mean to say. A thing that I'm positive was not even on his radar when he made Monsters.
He drew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It is supposedly. Yeah, they did announce prior. This is all prior to Jump Festa. They did announce that this is apparently coming out in January, so it's coming up quite soon, actually. And
Imminently.
Yeah. Yes, imminently. And so if they're, I would assume that's internationally, but I guess I don't know for sure.
I mean, Netflix Anime, which is an American.
Yeah.
I guess American.
Okay.
English,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they have
Yeah.
the English poster here, so I guess that has to be true. Well,
and
if that's
the
the
tweet
case,
it says that.
Toei, Shueisha, Viz, Crunchyroll, like all working together. Like, let's, somebody call me. We got to put this story out.
Yeah.
It seems like you would want to do that. So, yeah, let's do that.
And quick, like yesterday. If it's coming out, January is upon us almost.
Yeah.
You might be listening to this episode in January. That's how soon it is. Or after it, because it's a podcast, and really you could do whatever the hell you want. Any other thoughts on Monsters? 103 something in Damnation.
The only thing, I have no horse in this race because this predates me. The only thing that I found is funny is that this feels like the kind of project that would bridge the gap between the One Piece and like something like, this feels like, oh, they're testing the waters, they're making monsters, Oda's trying some stuff with Netflix anime. Having these like back to back is insane. Because it does feel like Monsters is the kind of thing where it's like, oh, this is a starter car. We're moving on to the big car later, but we're going to do a starter car first. Yeah. And that's all that struck me about it. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, like to echo that, like I'm very, very curious to see if this is successful. If we might get an original series based off of this, which I would be more than okay with a series just about Ryuma going around and doing things.
Is Monsters the one that took place in the western town too? That's a different one, right?
One of the guys is French, so
yeah.
It looks a lot like Orangetown, basically. It's very classic, like Oda's European style buildings. Was
there not a western?
There's a
short
western
story.
one.
Yeah,
because that's what I want. I just feel like that. Oda's wanted to do that forever. He's never done it, whether on purpose or not. So seeing that would be cool. Not to take a step back too, but Ian Jones-Cordy, friend of the show, did also post that if they figure out a way to fully incorporate the cover stories into the One Piece, it will be the definitive version. And that I do agree with, because that is one thing that is very much missing from post 1999.
Which I really
2000.
wonder about, like a possibly condensed version of One Piece. I'm like, oh, they're going to slow it down to, cover Gedatsu's amazing journey.
No, they should just make each cover an eye catch for
Ooh.
between the episodes.
Yes.
That's fantastic. That's Steven. Why are you working for WIT Studio /Netflix /Fuji Television /
And this
Toei
is when
Animation?
Steven pulls off his Steven mask to reveal he's still Steven. Talking about Monsters again.
Sorry to
What I do like is like these character designs are definitely updated for a modern era. Still very looks very Oda. I mean, with Ryuma and the female character, obviously. But because going back and looking at some of his artwork and that, it just feels very, unpolished. Like it's a very young Oda and like a lot of sameness looking. Like I think like the swordsman character it almost kind of just looks like Luffy with a fake mustache on. It's and no, I'm not talking about Luffy at Chabondi. So I do kind of
Or
like
Luffy
that
at Dressrosa.
They upped it. Or Luffy. Yeah, I guess that was a beard.
It was the whole thing.
I know, but yeah, I do like look at it because I could see. I'm like, oh, the Odiness is still there. The odor, if you will.
That's terrible.
That's what they call Oda in the South. I like that odor.
Yeah.
Or in Britain. Yeah.
I just realized the One Piece. Ed, that's what Bret Hart calls One Piece.
Yeah. We got
Something.
a bunch of pirates here in the One Piece.
I very much enjoy the One Piece. It's a great anime. Not as good as me. How many titles? Sorry.
You know what I just realized now?
5 people will enjoy, but please, the 5 people, let me know.
Now I realize though that all parents, like older parents, saying, "Are you watching the One Piece?" They're going to be right.
Yeah.
Better tell them the truth.
Grandma.
Oh, you got the series title correct.
You got the title right. It is called the One Piece.
It is called the One Piece.
The Anastasia is a Disney princess of the anime world. Wrong is made right, or right's made wrong.
Disney owning The Simpsons and Family Guy.
Yeah.
We also there was other news, and we also got questions from fans, and I do want to get to those too.
I actually have to dip out now, so.
Ed, thank you for coming. Where can people find you, Ed?
Sure, I'm on Blue Sky, edwarde.bsky.social, I think. And, Happy New Year, everybody, and we'll see you again in January.
Yeah, so January 7th, 8th, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, bye, Ed.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
The other big news was there were a lot of details revealed about Egghead. This is the upcoming story arc for those who are not familiar with what's about to happen in the anime, which is possible. The first thing I want to mention is the duo is back, and not Duo Maxwell. The introduction is going to be by Hiroshi Kitadani.
Sorry.
That's how it's pronounced, right? I'm sure I.
That's how
peaked.
I was on Sundays when we record the podcast. I record the Let's Play with Sungwon as well. Same day, and this morning he was in the other room. I'm like, "Hey, Kitadani's doing the new One Piece opening. You want to know what it's called?" And he's like, "What?" And I just yell at the top of my lungs, "Ah!" That joke is never going to get tired, I'm sure. I just like the transition from like, we go over the top. And then like, what's the next one called? Like mental
Real
breakdown.
Monsters,
Well, that's the monsters opening.
And almost as, if not even more exciting, the ending will be entitled Dear Sunrise, and that's going to be by Maki Otsuka, who did Memories, the first ending theme for One Piece. So, like, the original duo.
Second one, too.
Oh, yeah, Run Run. Was that Run Run Run?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
See, I watched the anime. I am
used to.
I am this is super exciting, I think. Like, first of all, the fact that endings are back is still surreal to me, and they did such a phenomenal job with the ending. The opening song is great, but it was clear that it was done on a really small budget because it has half an opening. And I now understand why it ran for like shorter than Brand New World, probably something like that.
Really?
Around that
Brand New World
time.
was only like 20-something episodes.
I think this ran for 16, someone said. I don't know if that's true. I don't have that off the top of my head.
Feels way longer. Then again, every time I watch like the newest anime episode, I forget we have endings still. So it ends. I'm like,
no, not the ending, the opening.
Yeah, I know, but the opening.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
the ending
started a little bit
well
earlier,
before,
yeah.
like maybe 4 or 5 episodes before. The ending. The good thing about the internet, though, is if you want to rewatch those things, you just can, over and over and over, which I do and I will. Yeah, but what are your guys' thoughts on and Dear Sunrise?
That's great.
Actually, we don't even know what they sound like yet, so I guess what thoughts can we have?
They stink, and I don't like them.
There you go. Steve
Sounds hot.
making a stand.
And we cut to the older lady in the subway doing her rendition of it.
And then we have the voice
Made out
cast.
of rubber.
And I'm
Wait,
very...
we've already heard it. It's just that one bit from Brooklyn Nine-Nine with Andy Samberg in the interrogation room.
Oh, yeah.
Dun.
I'm very excited because, yeah, I'm a dinosaur in this fandom full of people that just want to see their action figures get beat up. But I'm very excited to see the man that sang the first opening and the lady that's saying the first two endings are back. One Piece is back.
I'll say
Piece is back.
we, I didn't originally love all three of these at first, but damn, did they grow to be some of my favorite openings of the series. We Are, We Go, and Over the Top. Over the Top, I still walk down the street saying, one wish, one dream. Like, just
No,
to myself.
One dream, one wish. You don't watch the anime.
I can't wait for the animated retelling of this story for Steve called "We Are Back: The Dinosaur Story."
Let's talk
myself
about... Yes, please do. Let's talk about the cast for the upcoming Egghead arc, which finally introduces a character we have heard about since before Thriller Bark, I think the post-Ennius Lobby stuff, Dr. Vegapunk. Yeah, go ahead.
We first heard the name Dr. Vegapunk, I believe, in Ennius Lobby. I think Spondum was the one name dropped him.
Oh, yeah, was that when he was like talking about putting the fruits in the objects?
Because if you forget, our beloved Funkfried
Yes.
was a little freak.
I know you
It's a
love
sword.
Funkfried.
It turns into an elephant. I do. I now own a Funkfried figure. So I feel
Good for you. But you also own a Spandam figure now, and that's not as good.
I own a couple Spondums.
Set them on fire.
No.
The voice of Dr. Vegapunk is going to be Yohei Dodano, and the unbelievable thing about this, besides playing Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz in Phineas and Ferb, a show I have not seen, is that he also plays a very pivotal character, Steve, that we named an episode after in 2015, making this joke and insisting that this happen. Steve, do you want to say who the character is?
Yeah. It's the pivotal character from Rick and Morty. Rick. No, we made a joke many years, 2015, when like you could kind of openly talk about Rick and Morty and not have to explain. I'm not one of those fans.
Yeah, back then.
But we made the joke like, wouldn't it be funny? Because we were like, we were very into Rick and Morty at this point of the show.
Brian,
Go back and listen. We're probably
Brian had just started coming on the show a bunch. Yeah.
And I think I moved out. I was out in LA at this point, but we made the joke like, it's like it'd be funny if it just turned out, Vegapunk is Rick Sanchez, is Vegapunk Rick, ha ha ha.
What did you do, Steve?
What
have you two
You know how
brought?
you
The monkey
Delaney
paw
on this video did a curling of the finger of the monkey's paw.
The second
This is
monkey's
the second one. We willed this into existence. Yeah, the Japanese dub voice actor for Rick in Rick and Morty, who I remember when those clips first kind of surfaced, and it was hilarious.
He's great. Yeah.
The fact it's sort of come full circle. I'll take it. He is voicing Vegapunk. I think it's a great choice. I remember his voice.
But they also had those Japanese, the anime specials that they released on.
Oh yeah,
Toonami,
and
I
it's
think.
it's those, and it's the same actors too. So.
Yep. So the Samurai Rick and what was the other one? They're good.
I forget which studio did them, but yeah, they're like kind of like short animations that look.
I forget
that are,
too.
Like, beautiful. They're great stuff.
Yeah,
But,
I'm sure it's a Jason DeMarco to get that to
I
happen.
think they're still working on a Rick and Morty anime, as far as I know.
I think you're right.
I know that was announced. But.
That series lends itself to all mediums because it works in that world. Shaka, I didn't really know this person from anything specifically. I don't know if you guys do. Shuhei Sakaguchi. I get to pronounce Japanese names for this segment.
I know. I'm bold of you to take this one.
That's
What are you reading these off of, Zach?
our website. Sorry, I think I posted it on our thing. That's Jugo Yugo from Naruto Shippuden. I have not watched Naruto that far. Do anyone remember him from anything else or anything? Okay. That being said,
I don't know where our I don't know where our news is.
Oh, okay. Wait, it's new. I just added it because we had a bunch of news. I posted it in the chat. I think that
all I could find on our website for our podcasts are podcasts.
I'm cutting none of this out.
Although you
This
should.
is all staying. This is all staying in.
That's called laziness.
This is what you get on the
This
special
is where the
episodes.
meat is, guys. If you can't make the most of this, then that's on you.
Okay.
The big announcement from Sam Leach's point of view is that Lilith is going to be played by Aya Hirano, who played Haruhi Suzumiya in Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya and the other versions of that. Dende in Dragon Ball Super. And
Lucy from Fairy Tail. If you want another version of One Piece to hold you over.
Oh, I love you, Steve. That was perfect.
Don't boo me. That was the whole reason why I gave that manga a shot many years ago. I caught up with One Piece.
Rave Master looked better than that, and that's the same guy, right? Maybe better. I didn't say good. Anyway, that's a big announcement. Sam seems like I believe she's like also a big musician and like jack of all trades kind of.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. TV
It's weird because I
personality.
thought she'd retired, but
Maybe
cool
she
to see
came
her
out of
back.
retirement for Lilith,
Hell yeah.
as we all do. Edison, the only credit I wrote here was Ryoko Shiraishi, Bao Huang in One Piece. I didn't see anything specifically that she did that I recognized, but that means nothing. It could be the biggest anime on Earth. Pythagoras is going to be, I get to do this one, Tokuyoshi Kawashima, who played Naomasa Tsukauchi on My Hero Academia. Clear that I read that and watch that series.
I don't even remember who this character is. Let's see. Oh, okay.
Can you describe this character?
The new theme song.
He's the cop.
Oh. I mean, Pythagoras also, not to spoil things, not the most critical
He's
of
very
them.
plain faced early on, and then he kind of grows a little bit of facial hair. He's like My Hero Academia, Chris Redfield.
Atlas is played by Kaede Hondo, who played Kirasami in Food Wars. I picked credits that I recognize the series. That's it.
Probably our
York
listeners.
York was played by Matsuko Tamura, who the one I was most excited to see, the credit. Sayaka Kanamori from Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin. And boy, do I think that meshes perfectly, I think.
Yeah.
For York. So that I am excited for. This all starts January 7th of 2024. Not that all these voices are immediately going to be, well, maybe. Forget how early that they all are introduced, but probably a week or two after that. Any thoughts on the cast, the opening, the ending, Egghead?
I feel like I was listening to Firecrotch delivering the news.
Wow. Because I had to pronounce things that I
Just,
couldn't.
yeah, just a lot of names that you that you had very little context for.
That is kind of how you did the news back in the day.
Yeah.
All right. So there's one more thing I want to do here today. It's the end of 2023.
Oh, we didn't want to talk about Oda's comment.
Oh.
Jump Festa.
Did we get it?
Well, I mean, he had a comment. Normally, the official accounts are good about posting like the English and the French translations, and apparently the person whom we may know personally who translates them for Shueisha,
Who could it be?
gave them the their English version, but they did not post it. So I guess we don't have an official English version of it. But I'm looking at the message right now.
Do you want
I don't know
to?
if you
You want to do an
Would
instant
you-
translation?
Yes, would you like me to do that?
I would love you to do that. I didn't know that
Okay.
was even.
Nah,
I didn't
I
want to
just-
put you
I-
on the spot.
I feel like it's not a Jump Fest or recap unless we
That's
get
true.
Oda's comment.
Can you do like a Oda voice?
I don't know what he sounds like.
No, me neither.
So he says, Yeah, no, I'm not going to do the voice.
No.
Hey, everybody!
Greetings, true believers. It's me, Oda.
Steven, what's your best Gilbert Gottfried?
No, don't.
It's everybody enjoying that jump faster.
He says, I am the errand boy for the new toughest guy at school, Eiichiro Oda. And he says, there's been so much stuff that happened in 2023, and suddenly in a blink now it is next year, or we're at the end of the year. We had the final showings of film Red, the encore showings, which were a huge success. Thank you all for that. Then half of this year, I spent my time dealing with the live action drama. I went to Los Angeles. There was a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes, and then the very nervous unveiling the release date. And then it turned out that it was the top show on Netflix worldwide for 3 weeks. And so it was a huge hit. Wow, how dazzling, how radiant. And as he says, I think this feat was probably beyond anything that we could have imagined. So it really feels like we overcame a bunch of hurdles. And for me, at least, I feel like it was a huge step forward. He says one day, hopefully, the titles of manga from Japan, comics from Japan, will be included in the names of things like Emmy Award winners and Academy Award winners. That's my real dream. He says, so for the people producing the producers who are all around the world, who love One Piece, and to the folks who showed up at the show, including Iñaki-kun and Jacob-kun, he says. So I guess they were there at the event.
Yeah, there's a picture of them with voice actors.
Yeah. So yeah, with all of these people, I feel like that can come true. We're going to do our best on season 2 so that they all become true Hollywood stars. Also, the anime has reached the tearful conclusion to the Wano Kuni arc, and now we are going to Egghead. We've also had the what do they call it? Anytime One Piece? Is that the YouTube stream?
YouTube thing. They're very excited
yes.
about that.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of promotion for it. Yes, please. He says, please turn on the YouTube entire show stream and watch it with your mouth agape. Just sit there and with your mouth open and just watch it. Next year is the 25th anniversary of the anime, and we have some big projects in mind. Look forward to it. And then this last part,
another one.
This last part here. And he says, yes, I have to do a lot of work still with the original story, of course. And boy, we sure, a lot of characters met a lot of fates, this year. Boy, did they. Wow. It's a real scary world out there. And he says, so if Luffy and the gang do manage to safely escape Egghead, do you think they'll go to that island? I thought of a story path that didn't take them there, but I don't know. I don't know if I can stop Luffy from doing it. And if that happens, then it's going to be an all-out war over you know what. Yeah, it's about time. It's time for so and so to for their battle to it might have a very unexpected conclusion. So next year, One Piece will have the 25th anniversary of the anime. Look forward to that and the manga, and keep tuning in from Eiichiro Oda.
Wow, Steve, you literally predicted what he'd say word for word. Blank and blank.
Yep.
It's going to be big this year with blank.
Blank living with the blanks. It happened.
Blank in my blank, it's more likely than you think.
I want to note. So
blank will surprise you.
I am sure there are a lot of people reading into this as like, oh, we're going to really get into like the final war from what I'm just hearing. I want to remind people, though, Steve has the right idea, that he has made these kind of announcements before. Like, I think the year of Sanji, we all remember that. And that took like 2 or 3 years to actually happen. Like, I think Oda expects these things to happen sooner than they do all the time, which good for him for trying. But, you know, we'll see you in 2038 or so and see if we're in Elbaf yet. Whatever.
Was there actually a year of
the
Sanji?
One Piece.
There
Yeah.
was.
And it was
There was a year of
wonderful.
Sanji.
Like
Life
the
has
year
gone
of
downhill
Luigi?
since.
Yeah, first it was
Yes,
the year of Luigi.
Just like the
and-
year,
yeah.
just like the year of Luigi.
Yeah.
Actually, the year of Sanji is more like the year of
Consequences and all.
Waluigi, I would think. But here we are. Any other comments on the
cold.
message? No? Okay.
Kind of
excited.
standard affair, you know.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, he has had a really crazy year, and this is going to transition into what I want to talk about. But this year has had less chapters than we've ever had before. We started out at chapter 1071. We're at 1102 next week. So if I do my math correctly, that's 31 chapters, which means 20-something issues. Or I guess with double issues, a little less than that, had One Piece on break, which is by far a record, I think. I don't even think we're close.
so
to
I'm not
previous
crazy.
years.
I feel like I'm like wow. I know like a bunch of important things happened in the manga this year, but I feel like I'm like has a lot happened this year? Like I was like thinking about it earlier.
So the weird thing is, I was thinking the same thing because like on Egghead, we haven't done a lot, but we were off of Egghead for what is essentially an entire volume.
like the spring. I think all of spring. I think we were like away from Egghead.
We were, so we had a month-long break, we were away from Egghead, and now we've been in a flashback for a whole bunch of time. So, like, I'm just doing this by the titles. I think we left Kaku's Penny Farthing, I think, was our last episode before heading to Kid and Slay, which was the Kid and Shanks fight. And then we didn't, so that was in, is that the, oh no, wait, I think I was out of order here. I'm sorry. Real Men Can Forgive the Lies Fujoshi Tell was the last episode that we had of Egghead. And then, so that was in March. We headed out to see the world and everything. Then there was a break after we saw the whole thing with Sabu and Emu. Sabo and Emu. Sabu. There it is. And then we didn't get back to Egghead until, I believe it's Luffy Said What, VV YouTube thumbnail.jpg, which was in late August. So we were not in Egghead that entire time. And then we've been in a flashback since Vice Admiral Otterman in October. So we were only in Egghead January, February, some of March, September, and some of October. So like less than 5 months of the year. So that's probably why it feels like we haven't gotten very far in the story itself, even though we've learned a lot and a lot of big things did happen. Everyone like that little history lesson?
Sorry, I got distracted because like I was looking. I'm like, did Toei ever post like actual like official images of like the new Egghead designs, other than like the ones of all the characters? I'm on their English website. Did you know that the Mugiwara Chase, Straw Hat Chase, the 3D movie that came out after Strong World, they don't list it as one of the movies. They list it under the 3D category. So technically, Film Z is movie 11. So think of that what you will.
I've always said this. Okay. You okay there, Steve?
Sorry, I tried to roll away into the darkness.
So, do you want to each go through like high points in the One Piece story and the One Piece podcast that you guys want to go through? I also sent along to you folks, and maybe I'll post somewhere on Patreon or something, all of the images we've had this year, drawn by the wonderful Steve Yurko, Mike Patton, Alex Kazanis. Who else drew? Josh McKenzie, Vero, and
Brodsky.
who else drew? Brodsky. Oh yeah,
Brodsky.
Brodsky. Am I missing anyone? I think that was everyone who drew this year. But I'll ask first, are there any moments in the podcast that stick out in your head without doing any research ahead of time to try and refresh recollections? Steve, I'll ask, or Steve or Steven.
Oh, cool.
Any of the Steves. Steven, I'll go with you then, since Steve did see already.
Well, I would say that I think this, in terms of the podcast this year, I think it was really great getting to start the SGS and do that with Greg. It was that was this year, right? We didn't start.
That was this year.
Okay,
Yes.
thank God.
I think that was April or March.
Yeah, it was
I
like
thought
early
so.
spring.
Okay. I think that was it was a really great idea, and I'm still definitely kind of working on my quote unquote hosting, getting my hosting legs under me.
You're doing
So
great, Steven.
I'm still the ideas are percolating in the back of my head for how to make it a little smoother, but I do think it's been a lot of fun to talk with Greg about just anything One Piece really. We've had a lot of random discussions and stuff, and Greg especially welcomes that. So it's totally fine to ask whatever question you have, I'm looking forward to doing more of that next year.
Not to piggyback on that, but the SGS has definitely been some of the stuff I've been most proud of in the 15 years we've done it. They're all great. They're all fun. I think I described it as like NPR for the One Piece podcast, in that it is super informative, super calm. Just like exactly, I think Steve, maybe you coined this, like or Ed, like, this is the One Piece podcast I want to listen to personally as an old person. So I cannot recommend enough. More people should be listening. Not that enough people aren't listening. It's just that more people should be listening. Much like the One Piece anime. Just the more eyes or ears on it, the better.
This
Delaney?
Knock American Life.
I like it. We should have just named it that.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't like that, Zach.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Delaney.
I don't like that. That's what I meant to say.
Delaney's going to come up with all of our potential spin-off podcasts. Because it's
You're getting him eventually, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
An entire
Ja-
podcast where everything
all-
is introduced by Paul Harvey.
We're getting
all
Jammer back.
pieces-
It's called Wait, Don't Tell Me.
All pieces considered. I'm like trying.
I
to
think we should. I think we should pitch a podcast where we just mix up episodes of One Piece and the One Piece.
Delaney, are you okay?
And be like,
A merry a merry home companion.
There it is.
There you go.
Sorry,
I'm
Steve.
such a
Finish your
jerk.
joke.
we should like mess with Jammer's memory and just show him the One Piece. Hey, remember this old episode? And be like, oh yeah. And be like, but little does Jammer know, he is watching the new anime, but he doesn't know it because his memory is poop.
See that reference? I don't get.
We're talking about the SGS.
Yeah, I don't know if there's even much else to say other than it's been great to hear you and Greg particularly, since he also, we learned he was the series advisor for the One Piece live action and all the amazing work he did in that. And I know that I've known that that's what he's been doing behind the scenes, and like putting his blood, sweat, and tears, I assume all literally, into the creation of this series. And it's great to see it come to fruition, and even better just to see this weight off of his shoulders, which I'm sure we've all noticed, which is just super proud of both of you. It's been great. As if I'm older than either of you, and I'm not. Steve, did you have thoughts on things from the year besides the SGS that popped out?
I mean, I'm just like I'm going back through our episodes and just trying to access memory lane.
That's what I'm trying to do too.
Yeah, do you want me to just stick with just the manga stuff for now?
No, you could stick with whatever you want. I'm trying to like what are the things that pop out at you this year, either in the manga or like on the podcast, like just like your raw, like unadulterated opinion. Be honest with me.
Like a couple things that come to mind. First thing is just like kind of just like the summer of Gear Fifth, you know, the hype around that, whether you enjoyed the anime's interpretation or not. The point was like there was just a whole lot of just, you know, it was the energy, the excitement for it was palpable on the internet, and I think that's not something I don't think we've ever kind of seen any kind of you know, like just anticipation for that for the anime in quite some time.
And the people we got to speak to around that.
And like we dedicated a lot of time to it, and you know, it just so happened, you know, it fell around the time the manga was on break, so it was good timing for us. And I'm glad we did give that side of the just that whole side of One Piece. You know, I was gonna say the production, but you know, One Piece is much bigger than that. Just like more attention to that, you know, because we can only do so much every week, and yeah, the manga is the biggest thing going. But the anime kind of proved that, you know, it's not just the manga anymore. That was, you know, it was a lot of fun getting to do stuff like that. God, like what, like I think like the stuff in between, like when we went away from Egghead and just like finding out what happened, the rest of the reverie, the fight with Garp and Kuzan, crazy stuff. It really kind of felt like, oh, I think like Oda ain't kidding around. Not that I think in One Piece is ending anytime soon, but it's like, okay, this kind of feels like we're heading to endgame stuff with where some of these characters are heading, and that was entertaining stuff. But I remember just missing the Straw Hat so much. I didn't think we'd still be on Egghead. I mean, clearly, if
no, me neither.
Our prediction contest, I really thought Egghead was going to be pretty short, but the fact that now we're a year plus into it.
Well, it's been this year. He's been going at a much slower rate,
as we talked about.
Yeah, which, you know, I kind of hope. I'm curious what the coming years going to be like if this much more One Piece content. I use the dirty word content, but if this much more One Piece stuff is being made, you know, I think Oda's going to be pulled in so many directions. Or hopefully Oda he lets some people like take care of it. Like it'd be cool if, you know, if Oda like looked over this new anime and gave approval and stuff like that, but he definitely has to like let some people handle it, you know, for his own sake. And I don't want the manga to suffer so much. And I'm curious now that, you know, we're also getting season 2 of the live action, is, you know, are Oda and like Shueisha could be more hands on with this as they were with the first season.
I hope so.
Who knows? Yeah, I hope so too.
It's like a balancing act, because it definitely does kind of hurt at least the pacing of the manga. But also I want a better live action product. I don't want it to turn into Netflix series number 74, you know, like it just generic stuff.
But the manga's been great, but I definitely feel like it's kind of like lost steam, and not like, oh, it's not as good anymore, but I just feel like it's been a lot of start and stop. I mean, thank God he took a break, you know. Yeah, like was that, you know, get his laser eye surgery
/ trip to LA, I think.
Standing near me and I didn't even know it. So I think there's been a lot of, you know, start and stop because of that, and like the first chapter ever that he didn't finish was kind of, you know, unique. You know, it was a standout. But the fact that we finally got another good old fashioned flashback here, and the Kuma stuff has been excellent for the most part. other than my criticisms earlier. Go back and listen to that podcast if you want to. But I'm really looking forward to what's happening next, because and I say this a bunch and I'll say this again. Yeah, like I guess they're going to Elbaf and all that, but what's so great about One Piece is like, yeah, they'll go here. You don't know what the hell's going to happen, though. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's happened with Egghead, too. Like, we didn't, like, so many things about here you can't predict, and that's what's, and that's the fun part about it. I don't want to take up too much time, because I'm sure there'll be more to discuss as more people share
Dan.
their review.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just echoing what Steve said, it's been a crazy year to think about. It's always fascinating to see just how much, like we already know One Piece has a vast and open world, just to see that Oda is still giving us surprises and still making that world even larger, especially with seeing confrontations with Garp and Kuzan. Like I never thought it would come to that, and here we are sitting in that reality. Again, like the shared experience behind Gear 5 in the anime, like it's been a long while since I've done a watch party for anything to that level. It felt very much like the old days of God, I'm dating myself here, but like grabbing the newest episode tape of Dragon Ball and like heading over to a friend's house to watch the episodes together and like have live reactions to it, like people used to do, instead of just watching a YouTube reaction video. Like it was a lot of fun being able to hang out with you, Zach, and a couple of the kids on the podcast server, just to be able to experience that and watch it in real time.
That was a lot of fun.
And to know people that worked on that was also like really crazy to see like the fruits of their labor come to fruition and it be, taken in such a positive response. It's just been a fantastic year of enjoying One Piece, aside from life stuff. But yeah, that's a whole other tangent. I'm trying to remember like other big things that have happened in One Piece. Like, man, 2023 was such a blur. Yeah, like all like the collab with Calliope. Like, I know if you ever thought that we'd do 2 VTuber collaborations with One Piece, like one was already crazy enough with Film Red, and then we had the Egghead track dropped for the volume being released. Like, never thought that would happen, despite Calliope being a very big and very outspoken One Piece fan. I think they also did a karaoke stream that managed to get a lot of views. So it's just weird, like, that One Piece has grown with the times. And I think 2023 is a great example of that. Like, it hasn't really stayed stagnant. Like, Oda himself has been able to adapt with the times and stay interested in things that have grown along with One Piece. So I'm just wondering what the future holds as far as plot, but also, like what other crazy collaboration is Oda going to do in the next year? Like we've got these announcements from Jump Festa, but God, like how long before we see One Piece in Fortnite, guys? Like it could happen. I don't want it, but it could happen.
Do that, like they did like a little thing for the live action, like it wasn't a full-fledged.
Well, Ubisoft's got that new pirate game coming out, and I know the French love them some One Piece, so well, I guess we'll see. But just to take it home on my point, yeah, like One Piece is great, y'all, and I'm glad that this journey is still continuing for however long it continues, and whatever direction it goes in, it's going to be interesting.
Delaney.
Well, you've caught me in an interesting position because this is my first State of the Union with One Piece at all, like first year with it being a thing.
When did you catch up again?
I started, must have been end of last November, and then Wano I finished up in around March, April, somewhere in that range was about when I got onto it on a weekly basis. At least I think so. Oh God, yeah, what a weird little year, because it was a lot of sort of noticing more. I was only on the actual podcast 3 times 4 if you count me sneaking on that one time with Vero for the Opla intro. So I obviously just getting to chime in a few times was fun from a podcast perspective, but I think it's been interesting reading the manga and a lot of the stuff that I would have like sort of, parsed over when I was just Jaeger bombing the whole thing. Like every morning, like, I should go do some video editing. Well, how about I just knock out a couple chapters of Whole Cake Island while I'm just sitting here? Like, oh wait, this is like an actual year of someone's life, is just like a quarter of a flashback, and then like maybe some lore. So it put it into perspective, and I know this is a much slower year than normal, but like honestly having it was really nice, not to get like too heavy, but there was like a lot of personal loss in my family this year. And I remember specifically I went back to the one bit after Ace dies, where it's like, you know, what do you still have? And I did my crying, and I was like, but like that's one of those things that I think like One Piece like captures really well, is those sorts of like, you know, moments where you need to be vulnerable, but also very uplifting in a way which I don't think feels condescending, which is, it's a very impressive trait, you know, that sort of like, yeah, you're gonna go through some rough stuff, but it never feels like patronizing, like, yeah, you know, you'll be fine, It's like, no, just go work with it. But like, I just as like a thing to have and a community to join, it was a really great thing to have during a wild little year, and just like getting to notice it more was kind of a privilege. And I'm not really sure where it's going. Maybe it's going to be this slow again. Like, I didn't watch Opla, I'm not playing Odyssey, so I'm still very much on like the, you know, I read the manga and that's it. I've watched the movies.
Odyssey.
Was that this year?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that
It was this year, wasn't it?
It was the beginning of the
State
year.
of the Union, baby.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Still haven't finished it.
I hear there's a lot of Alabasta in it.
Yeah,
Dan,
they're still in
if you
LMS.
kept Dan, yeah, if you kept playing it, you'd still be playing it.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, but it was good. I don't have like strong thoughts about like year end particular thoughts, but just as an overall thing.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. I always think end of the year is a good time to be like, what's been going on? Because I think Steve could attest. When we do an episode of the podcast, it immediately leaves our mind right after we're done doing it, as it will tonight. But except for you, Delaney, who edits it. But it's kind of just been a real whirlwind of a year in and out of the manga. I'd be remiss if we didn't mention Opla as a series, our podcast series, which has been rewarding and surprising. It started out frustrating. I've learned all new things about scheduling guests that could hopefully come in handy in the future that I did not know. Talking to Hollywood agents and all that, and it's just like a never situation I saw myself in, particularly with the One Piece podcast. But here we are, and it's been such an awesome learning experience, and it's been really cool talking with people from just disparate corners of the world and from disparate industries that we've never talked, like hair and makeup, music. Just talking with the composers for Opla was super cool. Then we mentioned the stuff about Gear 5, like getting to talk to actual animators is surreal. I think Dan said that really well. Like, people actually, I don't know if we're ever going to talk to Oda, but talking to animators who work on the anime is pretty close to like the people working on the series we love. And I'd be really remiss. I think one of my favorite episodes of the year was Henry Thurlow's episode, going through the one that he did with Big Mom and the fight with Long Kid and Big Mom, that you can't rhyme orange with anything, and he's like, no, fuck it, I can, I'll figure it out. And his story is so similar to Greg's, Stephen, in that the rise from like kid at home, big fan of this, big fan of dragons and anime and stuff, and becomes this pivotal character in a series he had watched when he was younger. It was an amazing story when it happened to Greg in 2012 through 2014 or whenever that was. And it's equally amazing with Henry. And I know he's gone to some of Oda's parties and stuff too, I think. So that was super cool. Like, I was like looking at some of the guests. Oh, our episode, Steve, with the 3 calamities, Gabe, Major, and Bill being the three calamities.
That was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was.
thank you. Yeah.
I mean, I could just listen to their voices all day. Let's be honest. And Major, particularly, whenever I see a poster for Aladdin now, I'm immediately thinking about the fact that Queen is voiced by the one of the former actors for Aladdin. Is pretty nuts.
And I'm pretty behind on the dub, but I binge watch a lot of it now when I'm like, I got to get something done or I got to hunker down. And I kind of always kind of can't help but like just look up anytime Queen is on screen because some of Major's like line reads are like out of this world.
He's
And I just
incredible.
think back,
Yeah.
I always think of that interview with the three of them when watching it, and it's we talked about the dub actors and stuff earlier, and I just like I always try to give them their due when I can. And I know I'm like a notorious dubby for sure, but like the fact that they're catching up at an alarming speed.
Yeah, they're almost there.
With the dub, yeah. And the performances are great. It's saying like everyone sounds awesome, and a lot of the new actors they're getting. And like we also talked with like Michelle earlier in the summer about Yamato, and finally kind of get great episode too. Michelle's like a really very fascinating person with a great journey
super
too.
honest and like raw and also just relating her personal story to One Piece is whenever they're just hearing them go through that was incredible.
Yeah, and that episode might not be for the faint of heart either. Like it's it's kind of a tough listen, but I'm kind of glad that they're on the other side of it and they're bringing so much life to this character that deserves that kind of representation. And they're hearing now, like, getting to watch episodes where Yamato is a pivotal character throughout it, and I'm delighted hearing them too because their performance is it's hitting all the marks all over the place. Yamato's a very entertaining character.
Yeah,
it's I don't know, like One Piece this year. It feels like the Thanksgiving dinner plate where it's like you want every single thing. So you cram it all on there, and that's a lot of food, and you're gonna get sleepy afterwards.
Yeah,
but,
and
that's a good description.
Is there.
To eat it all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then yes. Oh yeah. I don't know if Delaney, if that was your segue there, but yeah, with Thanksgiving too, with the Luffy balloon. It's
yeah.
Luffy.
Yeah.
Beautiful boy.
But Luffy, who
Bucket
lost
hat
his.
Luffy.
Oh, who was it? So this is a good transition to images and some of the amazing images we all that you guys put together. Dan, you mentioned that apparently we predicted the hat deflation scandal, only second to the Patriots deflation Deflategate.
Yes.
Wow, see, football reference. I'm great at sports. Dan, which episode was that again? That was
that was the one that Steve drew that has the
Return of Toy Boy.
Armstrong.
The Return of Toy Boy. Episode 767 for those looking. You put the image of isn't that? Does it look? Yeah, it's just facing the other direction.
Reverse, though,
yeah. I gotta the images this year I think are all super top notch, and you started. I think one of my favorites is the first one that you did, the Matryoshka dolls of the Vegapunks.
Yeah, that might be just in terms of images wise, that is my favorite. I peaked. I peaked at the start of the year. That's one I gotta get in contact with Maddie or something. I really want to send that in, see if I could get that in Usopp Gallery. I'm really
you should.
It's worthy.
The back-to-back uses of really awesome shading gradients for like those first couple weeks, going from the penny farthing to Shaka.
The Seigi one is probably one of my favorite drawings you've done, even though it turned out to be a theory that was very wrong.
It's a cool image. It's a cool image.
It's an amazing image.
But what's great was like it's an image that entertained the thought, but doesn't necessarily depict Shaka as a baddie. It's just like you could interpret it this way, and that was always my goal.
Yeah.
And in terms of like the design work in the background, half the time it's me just trying a bunch of things and seeing what sticks. And that one, I got lucky with that one. That one right away, I was like, boom, that's it.
God, what was the name of the episode for the Declaration of Sanji?
That was the Sanji Tushin, the father of the Sanji Tushin.
Yeah, God, like make fake money with that picture of Sanji on there, please.
That was another one I really enjoyed doing. Oh yeah, we were like back to back Sanji.
We were
around that time.
Yeah, we were. I mean, then there was the Fujoshi. Sorry, wait, let me get the full title.
Yeah, I remember my mom liked that one on Instagram. I don't think she knows what a Fujoshi is.
Real men can forgive the lies.
Maybe I'm going to find something out.
Oh, Steve, with your AO3 drawings. That's
I want to give Brodsky a huge shout out because they're the one they did for the dragon, the Color Walk Dragon.
Is
a favorite.
That one slaps.
That one might be one that's not mine especially, but that's like one of my favorite images of the year. I'm blown away.
I'm trying to remember the name of that episode. Why can't I find it?
Which one? The Brodsky image one?
Yeah.
The Wano years, episode 765. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I love that one.
I didn't have that shaded for some reason. I have the off week shaded usually on my thing. That's why I didn't realize.
Everybody, all of the other artists who are not here right now did amazing. Like Alex's Jerry Garcia one with the Kuma bears and like the Vegapunk skull design and just so many details.
He went overboard.
Yeah.
He was
very inspired. Yeah.
And the world government flag jacket that I don't even know if I noticed before until I just looked. And then
Drew Steve with the amiibos. Was that Mike?
That was Mike Patton, an all-timer there. I gotta say the balloon with Connie is also an all-timer from Mike.
That's another one of my favorites.
Very funny. And then on the other end of things, like the Yamato Iñaki Luffy on the Ferris wheel from the Los Angeles premiere, I thought was super just poignant and cool. And beautiful.
Really hard to do.
I don't doubt it. And the I guess in a more joking, the Luffy's arms around the world is one of my favorites of the year, if not my favorite. In that I both love Gear 5 stuff and I love Simpsons references and I love obscure Simpsons references. So this is perfect.
I will say, not to like blow smoke up my own ass, but like she's only into bears. That image, I really, that one could have been like a whatever one, but I just really like the color scheme I stuck with, and I was,
of course you did.
I was good, and I was gonna do my normal cell shading, but I just went with this kind of airbrush shading to it, and it looks very Disney VHS, and I really like the way that one came out. That one's one of my...
The inner child one, I mean, speaking of the more serious ones, was fantastic too. Have we named all of them yet? Please check these all out.
We like all our episodes.
I will say that the inner child one, I believe that it was a couple weeks ahead of time where we had floated because that was the one I was on with Jeff Thu. That was the one where we started the Kuma flashback, and we almost did like the Batman parody, which is very it's very compositionally similar. It has some similarities. I'm like so glad that we didn't wind up going with that, because Luffy in the crevice is a very good image, but also like this is such a strong image for that, the way that discussion went. It's like
that was a very zany, over the top episode.
To be fair, that would have been a really dark
image.
I
think Delaney, I think we should publicly apologize. I think people said we were talking over you too much. Which I'll be like, sorry if you were.
I don't talk over people. I apologize.
I'm always interrupting people.
No, I do so.
That was a zany episode that I did have a lot of fun on, but it was definitely probably I guess if you weren't there and listening in, it's like this is chaotic, but
it was a little chaotic.
It was a bit of a riot, but I had a fun time, and it was nice to chat with Jeff and all you guys. Like, everyone's all aflutter. It's a new Flashback. We're starting a new do Flashback. This is a year highlight.
Well, this God Valley thing with every single character ever.
But I'm just sorry that you hate women. Wait,
Yeah.
I'm winking.
Yeah.
I'm winking over the video.
I don't know if that
Dan,
works
don't
on an
isolate
audio
that.
podcast.
Don't isolate that.
I'm gonna add that to-
twice if you're being held hostage.
Gonna add that to my soundboard. So I think without further ado, should we see what came out on top as of this moment? I do want to remind people. I'll do the top 10, just like David Letterman, let's say. But I episodes of the year. But before I do want to say that episodes take a while to matriculate like the amount of listenership. So the recent it's the opposite of recency bias. It's early C bias. Wow. Our top 10 episodes of the year: Loser Island, which featured Law getting defeated forever. Seigi with Murphy Napier in the image I was just talking about that I love. That was then Saint Jerry Garcia. We also talked about that. Straw Hat Luffy Menace with Emily Fajardo, who's the current ADR director. I know she transitioned her role from co-ADR director for the dub to full. With
Is she?
But then
Is that a recent thing?
Yeah, Anthony Bowling mentioned recently that he's stepping down from that role, and I think we had discussed that was going to happen behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, because I think when Anthony was last on, I missed that. I wasn't on that episode, so
yeah, that was also a great episode, by the way, the one with Anthony and Emily.
I should go back and listen to it.
Yeah. So where are we? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Vampire Long Island Iced Tea with Corinne Sudberg, Corinne, who does Momonosuke's voice. That was a fun one too. Animator's Playground at number 5. That was with Vincent Chansard and Kofi Fiagome. Wonderful episode. Yeah. These are all. I can't say a bad thing about any of these. I'll try. Sizable Woman with Kaylee McKee, which I cannot believe we did this year. That feels like eons ago.
Yeah, seriously.
What a great episode though. Kaylee was an amazing guest, and I'm still impressed by her range and her ability that demonstrated on that episode. Number 3, Vegapunk Party of 7. We talk about the Matryoshka dolls. That was with Christina and Marianne to start the year out. Number 2 was our live episode, Saturday Night Live Action, which was a ton of fun. Dan giving a fist pump there because
that was a really, really fun episode.
It was. And that we did an SGS for that. We did the Opla kind of discussion about the teaser trailer and 8 other things. And I think a manga
Which was
recap.
the image for that one?
No, there wasn't. It was a Sinyaki.
I think as we used as a background image was the satellites. With
on we used the Marcus Mars and the Funky Bunch images, which that was the top episode, not including YouTube for those curious, but we are including YouTube, which is why our top episode is I Can't Imagine Anyone Else But You with Michelle Rojas. So it was the one we were talking about with the carousel, not carousel.
Ferris wheel.
My brain is fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Which it was a fantastic episode, both with Stephen Firo going through their experience at the premiere and Michelle Rojas talking about their experience on the One Piece dub. So that's our top 10. If I think everything else, I don't think there's anything else I wanted to say about the podcast other than. Any other 2023 thoughts, lest we forever forget them?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just kind of sum up. It's funny because when you look at metrics like volume sales, I feel like it's been kind of decoupled from the overall conversation around One Piece. Thinking back to Strong World, the gigantic boom of success that happened after that. There were just you couldn't even the numbers of sales that were on the the Oricon or the top 10 lists, whatever they were. Like they stopped making sense after a while. It was just like, oh, I guess we just set another record today.
It was that the backlog were all like in the top 10 and like whatever.
And I feel like it's been a victim of its own success in that regard, where there's just no more, at least in Japan, there's no more market to tap really. So I feel like, I mean, God, it was like they did the top 10 of the year in terms of sales, and One Piece was like third or fourth or something like that. It was a little bit further down the list, but it feels like in terms of the conversation, it's never been bigger, like between Film Red, just for the past like 18 months or so, Film Red, Gear 5 in the anime, just the anime in general, and the live action Opla stuff, and now
the endings coming back
and ending with the news about the One Piece and just the way that they're expanding on stuff. Yeah, it's just been really, really wild, and it's been on a more international scale than some of the really highlights that were kind of isolated to the domestic market in Japan. So it seems kind of crazy. In years past, it's kind of felt like, I don't know, are we just going to kind of coast downward until we finally get to the ending, and maybe there's a big bump there, but One Piece can still surprise you in many ways.
It always does.
Yeah.
I cannot, and I've said this so many times, and this year I think exemplifies, I cannot believe how popular One Piece is now. I think the fact that it isn't number one is more of a credit to a lot of the other series. I think Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer have just like broken ceilings that we didn't know existed. I haven't watched them, but I hear very good things, and I'm sure. Yeah,
it's that, and it's the fact that there were like 2, maybe 3 volumes that came out this year.
That'll do it too.
Yeah, that's part of it too. But yeah.
It's the internationalness of it, I think, is some of the reasons. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, and I think there's just all this just competitiveness, where it's like, I think we haven't seen this since the era of the big 3, I guess, but it's like, when it's like, oh yeah, it's like this has sold more than this, and I'm like, well, you got to look at how many volumes have come out. Like, One Piece doesn't have the same kind of output that it did when it was like. You mentioned Fire Crouch, when Fire Crouch was like, I wish something interesting would happen when they used to like.
I wish it did badly. He used to always.
Yeah.
And us with our crappy microphones and high pitched voices, we're like, shut up.
Steve, maybe he had just been reading the German title of the upcoming series, Die Piece Die. Die One Piece Die. Fuck, I messed it up.
No, it's English for die. One Piece Die.
Wait, what's the era of the big 3?
Like One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. I remember that because even I was like a annoying little squirt back then. Just like, One Piece is better. No. Yeah, I was shorter than I was.
I don't believe the little part
now, but I think it's a common thing. But yeah, I just think it just comes with the territory with like shonen anime, which is
the internet.
My dad could kick your dad's ass. It's like that's that
like,
kind of level of
whatever you grab a hold of.
Yeah. We made a ton of fun of Bleach back in the day. I was never a huge fan of Naruto.
We were also
the manga deserved it. To be fair,
we were in our like early 20s.
We were, and we were those. To be fair, like I think. I was a fan of Bleach. I made fun of it because it hurt me personally. That's where that comes from.
I'm not about to do the same with My Hero Academia. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't have it in me.
The worst thing you could do to a series is not care about it. What is it? The worst thing is that it's not interesting, and there are plenty of those. But like I think it's really cool that anime. We were talking about it before, but that anime has like hit such a boom in the States and around the world. And One Piece is kind of one of the harbingers of it. It's like one of the things bringing it in. And it's unbelievable that a series that started in 1997 and has gone through all the many iterations in dubs and subs and anime and manga and so on and so forth. It's crazy to see where we are today and really surreal. I cannot emphasize that enough.
here's the third finger curling on Delaney's monkey's paw.
Yeah.
It's like, but I guess we got what we wanted, right? We always wanted to spread the word about One Piece.
We did.
I'm not, and don't take that as like, oh, we were the ones that did that, but like we always wanted One Piece to be on the
It was a
big
wish.
stage,
Yeah,
and,
it was a wish for you.
And
You'll pick
Here
up
we
your
are.
scythe in the mail, Steve, for all the reaping that you're going to be doing. Oda's sending it himself.
oh, that's awesome. I've always wanted something personally from him, so
That's true,
he's gonna
actually.
sign it, right? So you got to show up my front door. It's like, hey, here's for signing everyone's autograph book at weddings. This is for signing my name in the guest book at weddings.
That was you? I thought it was Oda who signed my book the whole time.
I feel bad because at Jose's wedding,
Yeah.
it really started getting spread around, and people thought it was legit. And I'm
Oh
like,
man,
You're too good now, Steve.
I'm like,
That's the
I was too nice. I'm like, you know what? Dealt with one controversy too many this year, so I was about to be like, hey, just so you know, this isn't real. Doy, but
I forgot that happened.
The internet is a place. We had some disc piece, and I'd be remiss. And
God, I forgot.
yeah, I also forgot. So I don't think we had a ton. So I'll just read through these quick. First one comes from Oda is really John Schwartzwelder, who says, "Do you think Yamato and I know I also laughed at it. Do you think Yamato and Carrot will return in the Egghead Island arc in the opening credits of the anime during the montage of the characters who were allied with the Straw Hats in the previous arc?" There was a ... as if it's going to come back. But do you think they'll be in the opening, I think, is the actual question.
no. Next question.
No, Dan, I disagree. Yes is the answer. They will... Carrot, I don't know. I would be I actually think Yamato will probably be in the opening. If it were 2.5 minute, definitely.
Yeah. Squeeze out some
100%.
marketing.
Yeah. Next question comes from Professional Poyo, who says, "Hey, OPP, I want to say thank you for the great year of entertainment and laughs. This was a challenging year for me, but having a new OPP episode drop always made my Mondays better. Y'all are wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Poyo. I don't know your gender. Yeah, he. Okay, I was right. Anyway, if Toei makes a Christmas Carol version with One Piece characters, who would play who? Which one of the world elders do we get to play Scrooge? Happy holidays."
Well, who's the biggest penny pincher?
It's a
I mean, it's
freaking.
gotta be
I'm sorry. Go
Saturn,
ahead.
right?
No, it's the economics. It's the guy, remember we were talking about last week, the arc about economics that's going to be coming soon? Wait, the
Yeah.
Godhead.
Which one is that again?
I'm
Steely
looking it up.
Dan or something? Yeah.
You called for me, Spud?
I forgot what their names are. I don't know.
I'm looking.
I have to be
I
St.
looked-
Charles.
I looked
Lee
up
Roth, David.
Oh, Top Man Workery, I think.
I forgot the planet thing.
By the
His
way,
name is Top Man.
I think it'll be Marcus Mars because he's the head of environment, and they always have the smallest budget. So
That's true.
he's going to be.
Yeah.
Top Man Workery also predicting Top, the One Piece show.
Would Nami make a good Scrooge? Because she's always just like, stop spending me money. Or no, she spends money on herself.
No, she likes spending money on herself. Yeah, she's not.
She, Mr. Krabs. Jesus Christ.
Wow, can't unsee.
Yeah.
Luffy, you're spending all me money.
That was me first dollar.
Oh no,
Joy Boy, me Bob.
Workery was the godhead of
Brooke
justice,
Delaney.
by the way. I will find the economics one before this segment ends. Yeah, go ahead.
Jinbei, Ghost of Christmas Future. Is he future or is he present?
Future.
Present.
No, does Brooke have to be the future one because the Grim Reaper and all that?
Yeah.
Jinbei is present.
He's jolly.
Robin
Oh, God.
Robin is past because of the flashback.
No, she's future. Well, Brooke is future.
Well,
No, well, one of them-
the Ghost of Christmas Past is always like childlike, right? So,
I want to apologize
Is it
to everyone.
Chopper?
Yeah, it would have to be Chopper then.
the Chopper.
Yeah. I want to.
I vote Jinbei as Ghost of Christmas Present only if he sings the song from the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Hell yeah.
I
And
One
then we
of the
can finally
dance
get our
with Michael
Muppet
Caine.
Jinbei.
I want to apologize to all our economics fans out there. The actual godhead of economics is Ethan Barron v. Nustero. So I hope exactly. It's
that one again?
the Japanese one. The one with the sword.
Yeah, the one who looks like
the
Gandhi.
one that we used to call Gandhi, but
Yep.
I
Yes.
think
No,
we realized it's
yes.
totally not Gandhi.
Yes, and by we you mean the internet. I'm gonna make that clear. One last piece. Yeah,
I can't believe one of them is named Top Man.
amazing.
Top man.
Yeah.
But I will say that's the best of the
Sir Topham
names.
Hat, maybe. I don't know.
I have a lot to talk about with Thomas the Tank Engine. I'll get to that another time. Next, they're very pro-capitalist. Privatization of the railroads. Anyway, Ron Quixote D the third says, "Hey OPP, glad tidings. So I remember back in the day, y'all had a discussion if you would continue the podcast till the anime ended or stop after the manga did. Now a second One Piece has hit the airwaves, or will hit the airwaves. Hopefully this one will go a little quicker, or Eiichiro Oda should give you each an extra 401k. I agree. My question is, if you could make this new anime have any art direction from any show, Western or Eastern, what show's style would be fun to see One Piece in?"
Mr. President, a second One Piece has hit the airwaves.
Can I make that the title of the episode?
No.
Oh
please
my!
Not the title, but can that be the art, please?
Jim Pistol cannot melt steel girders.
Which five elders whispering into which five elders' ear? That's what I'm.
War Fury is involved. Top Man is involved because his name is part of the conspiracy. He knew the whole time that a second anime was going to hit.
This close to the shoe anniversary? Well done.
What's
yeah,
his
when
nuts
is
into
that?
Garp's ear?
That was this past week.
No.
Who's the what's his nuts? The lava guy.
You're talking about
Bogart.
Are you talking about
Bogart whispering into Garp's ears. There's a
Into
second.
Garp's ears.
There it
who
is.
officially had more lines in the live action than he ever did in the manga, which is zero.
Zero, I was gonna
but-
say.
and definitely more lines than the anime. So
Wow.
God.
So you're drawing that image.
Please. Jesus Christ.
if
What's
we were so bold to name the episode that,
I don't know if we're that
the
bold.
image.
I don't
That's
know if
all
we're
I
that
need,
bold.
Steve. Just the image.
Just make an image for Delaney. You don't post it anywhere. So yeah, the question is any art direction from any show, what would you want to see in this new One Piece?
if it was so funny that I would have said like, make it look like Ranking of Kings, which Ranking of Kings kind of looks very similar to how One Piece looks now. So I think that's kind of.
I guess like what would the craziest what would the most completely 180 kind of art style that you would want to see it in? That'll be my version of this question.
Considering its roots, I would love to see a 90s production IG. We have Gonzack, but like Ghost in the Shell era style of character designs for One Piece. Like really, really fluid animation.
Why not JoJo's?
I haven't actually seen IG JoJo's. Like
No, not
is
IG. I'm sorry, 90s you were talking about. I guess it's 80s.
no.
IGs. No, I forget what the studio was for the JoJo's. One thing that came to mind because I was trying to think, I'm like, I hate that I was like, let me mix up, let me pick something Western, and I started Western, and then I realized that was Japanese. But 90s TMS, like the people that were doing like Tiny Toons and all that, I would love to see them do One Piece.
Didn't
If
Miyazaki
y'all
work
haven't
on
watched-
some of those? Was that TMS?
No, Miyazaki
No, but
wasn't
he
TMS.
started with TMS.
Oh,
Watch
it
Fair
started
Well-
TMS, yeah.
Okay, that's I knew he had something to do with it.
Watch Farewell to Nostradamus, because that's like the most like, Tiny Toons TMS, but doing anime. It's like, oh my god.
But there's even
we
a
could've had
segment
it
where they're
all.
watching a Tiny
Watching
Toons
Tiny Toons.
cartoon. Yeah.
It will make you more bitter than anything in your life. It's like, why wasn't this forever?
I'm like that
it's
with
a
a
good
lot
show.
of old animation. Like, how the fuck did Freakazoid look better than a lot of shows that aired
Right?
today? It had an orchestral soundtrack. And
That
it was
kind of
just a
stuff-
bunch of boomers making freaking Golden Age Hollywood and Broadway jokes.
And
Hello,
Asner.
We had
Dolly
it too
parodies
good.
for the 10-year-olds.
We'll never get it back. We'll never get it back.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, should we be thinking of modern day? Because I guess if we do
It's like the easy answer is to think of something else Japanese, but I should ask my friend Dave, who's been on the show before, Dave Allegre. I think he would have a pretty interesting answer to this. But
I'm trying an experimental animation style. I think would be very cool, like a stop motion-y kind of thing. I feel like could be cool for One Piece.
Stop motion One Piece would work.
One style we've never seen One Piece in is South Park, guys. Let's do
thinking
it.
Shit. Came back around.
I think we need.
That was pre-recording,
modern
I
day-
think. When
yeah.
we were talking
We
about
need
it.
modern day Family Guy.
And the Thomas
Oh no!
debate.
Oh, did you say Thomas? Yes, I want full model sets of
Yes,
Going Merry and all
We were
that.
talking about Thomas the
Narrate-
Tech Engine before,
narrated
their
by
eyes
George
move.
Carlin.
or Ringo Starr, or
Puffing Tom didn't like that.
Alec Baldwin.
The Puffing
the
Tom
end-
was very cross.
The engine, the rail, and the fat conductor, but the Holy Trinity.
Fat conductor.
Damn it! I get all these
Delaney, can you write that down? Because those are the prayers I need to start saying at night.
to the fat conductor and the Holy Spirit.
Oh,
My
I
answer
hate
is
that I
easy.
get
Just
all
make it
of
all look
this
like
now.
Omatsuri.
Yeah.
yeah. That's the thing. I like Science Saru was mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
by
yeah.
Zach. Stuff like that would be fun.
Seeing what's his face, Yuasa do it would be really cool.
Yeah,
I love Yuasa.
It's like, yeah, sure. It's a wish come true. I would never want to saddle those people with doing the entirety of One Piece. Those
when
poor
I,
people.
I think doing side stories or things that are kind of mentioned in the manga and just giving, I think a anime or cartoon anthology a la Star Wars Visions or Matrix, Animatrix, would be so cool for One Piece. The engine, the rail, and the fat conductor. Anyway, I also asked for Twitter questions. Should I see if we got anything that I feel bad since I put the word out, and I feel like, or we've been talking a long time.
By the way,
Okay,
I know podcast audio medium. I'm just enjoying looking at Zach's webcam right now and seeing half a dog in the bottom right corner.
Lucy. It's just Lucy's looking extremely pathetic.
I was gonna say, Steven does not have his camera on, and that's fine. It's not required, but I think Steven should take a cue from our friend Jay and just get a Simba cam and just have a webcam set up where Simba likes to sleep, and so we could.
I could totally do that. Yeah, he has a little round perch under the window.
I would.
He's
love
always
that.
there.
Sorry, she was requesting to leave the room. She had been under my desk this whole time. Okay, we got some piece the tweet. Not a ton. First one comes from Gabe Ruiz, who said, I'm excited to see the One Piece remake. Are you all returning to dub the Devil Worshippers? Also, One Piece podcast, would the Devil Worshippers be Team St. J. Garcia right now on Egghead? So for those who don't know, Steve, you, me, Ed, Jammer, Jose.
Jammer. Yeah.
Did I missing anyone?
Nope.
That's we were the voices of the famous devil worshippers from the part where Brooke lands on an island pre-time skip.
Except for the one that sounded like General Septum, that was not us. But
No, yeah, all the
felt-
good,
that felt
all the
very-
good
we
ones
felt-
were not us.
that was in good company. Yeah.
I showed those to Tara. She's
Oh
like,
yeah, I
"This is
saw.
okay."
Yeah, I gotta pick. I'm curious what how that conversation went.
I said, "You wanna
It's
see
just
how-"
like someone's just like, we don't have any left. The long arm tribe took everything we had. Yes. Jiminy Jillikers.
I told Tara, you want to see how bad an actor I am? Watch this clip. Anyway,
hey.
if we're asked back,
That
we'll do
footage
it.
immediately.
Compared to those contest winners that came in earlier in the day, we
Yeah, apparently.
should have been handed Emmys on our way out.
Here's your Emmy. Here, that's not to diminish Ben's Emmy that he actually won.
Sorry, I'm immediately trying not to
Grammy.
steal his thunder. Congrats, Ben. Now it's like next time Ben's on, you get to
Emmy winning.
intro someone as an Emmy award winner.
Yeah, we gotta have Ben on soon, so I can say that.
Something I didn't get to bring up because I didn't want to take up too much time with the conversation, but this is what I do anyway. I was the question I want to ask was how long does this new anime go for? I think I did bring it up briefly, but I feel like maybe it's maybe they just do the pre-time skip and just call it a day.
If it does well, they are not going to call it a day. That's the end of that. I mean, if something is profitable, although with corporate speak, profitable could mean a lot of other different things. I just asked Zaslav, but if it is being watched and is being profitable, I assume it would continue until it is not. Much like The Simpsons.
Yeah. Still going, baby.
Still good. Just like the song in that episode.
We're gonna go till Frankie sounds like this.
We're pretty close. Pretty close. I love Yao. I love you, Kazuki Yao, but your voice is having... Take care of yourself. Have some tea with honey. Brandon King says, the one question I have regarding Egghead is if Toei will try to adapt the Germa cover story in any way. I feel like it connects a bit with the overall arc on Egghead, and that is true. God, now I love the idea of eye catchers. Was it Delaney you said that? I forget who said that now.
Oh, no. That was Steven,
Steve?
wasn't it?
Steven.
Steven said that.
Yeah.
I forget whoever said that. Anyway, I hope that's such a cool idea. But anyway, I don't know. They still haven't, even through Wano. I believe the reasoning was because the main cast wasn't in it aren't in those.
I think that's, I don't know if that's ever been confirmed or not. Okay. I think that's just been a theory. But
yeah. Anyway, who knows? I hope is an easy answer. It's weird though, because those also include flashbacks with Vegapunk and stuff, because that Germa cover story is about anything but Germa. Let's make that clear.
Who would have thought it would end in a wedding? But,
It did. Oh, I love that. And I love that the Japanese fandom even was like, oh, this is a wedding between Judge and Caesar. That's what's happening.
They should redo that panel of when Big Mom and Kaido get back together. They should do that with Caesar and Judge.
How have we only done one wedding photo in all of our episode images, and it was between Law and Luffy, and Kaido being very jealous about it? We need more of them, is what I'm saying. We need an album of those. One last question, and we are done. Mr. Penguin 0001 says, with the new news coming out that the animation studio WIT Studio is doing a One Piece series with Netflix, what scene are you most excited to see be animated, I'll say from that studio, since it's been animated generally, in the East Blue Saga? Because I'm going to say not the Arlong Park merch, because I don't want them to do it the same way.
You can't top perfection.
You can't, exactly. Don't mess with that. Just, they're going to, probably. But I feel like, do your own thing. Make it yours if you're going to do it.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say Luffy's introduction, if they go one for one with the manga, we got that with the live action adaptation, so I'm excited to see if they actually do that. And then also, it's only little subtle differences, but seeing how Kobe gets introduced, and then they go to the actual island where Alvida's base is. So I guess scenes that are more one for one with the manga, I'm very, very excited to see.
First thing that came to mind was redoing Reverse Mountain without a filler character getting involved.
Murdered
by Nami.
And murdered.
Drowned. That's actually my favorite part of that. That is my favorite part of that filler arc. That's fantastic.
I was the gall of Toei.
Was that Norio Wakamoto too? Who voiced that?
No, that was Ryosei Nakao.
That's what it was.
Caesar. Or
this season.
Frieza
Yeah.
in Dragon Ball.
Because I remember it was before we had talked about this before Ryusen Nakao came back as Caesar. That tells you how long ago this conversation was. And we're like, oh, I hope they come back in some form or fashion as something more than just a character. Nami murders.
There was Dr. Indigo in Strong World.
Right. Fart shoes, Mr. Fart shoes.
But that I guess I would say, I don't know. This is a weird thing too. I'm like, you know what? Whatever opening you decide to do, I kind of don't think they'll do We Are. I think they'll do something
shouldn't,
totally different.
Yeah.
Have it run all the way through Logtown. I think one of my biggest gripes is We Are getting cut short after Arlong when you still have Smoker and Dragon in that opening. Play it all the way through.
But we don't know how many episodes it's going to be. So like if it all takes place in a very condensed time frame, sure. If it doesn't, then they could do multiple openings during that, like they would for like how many episodes did the Ranking of Kings openings run for? 13, I think. I'm also trying to like think of what I really loved about the Ranking of Kings anime, and I agree that the stuff in the Romance Dawn stuff really evokes a very similar kind of vibe. And I get that from the poster that they published. I also think the action that WIT puts together is amazing. And so Mihawk is immediately the thing that pops into my head. Because that's the most grandiose sort of thing we get, I think, in East Blue. But also everything with Arlong, that fight, I don't really think was done justice in the anime, and I say that specifically because it had the problem of Luffy's head getting stuck for a long time, and that's a personal pet peeve of mine, of Luffy getting stuck in blank. And so I do look forward to like kind of not so rushed like the live action, but more rushed than the anime. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
You could have Hachi in this show. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't think he'll cost a lot to animate. He's a terrible strain on the animator's wrist. Any other thoughts on that? All right, so we're gonna go straight into the round off here. Delaney, where could people find you?
Usual places, Delaney Jordan on Twitter, Infinite Snow Productions YouTube. I'm one of them on Blue Sky. I don't remember. I got to use that more.
I think you're Infinite Snow.
I think I'm Infinite Snow.
Well, that would be terrible. That's why I moved to LA.
Snow is great. You're wrong.
Someone write the time down. I'm going to put the drum effect in.
I forgot it's very late for Delaney. She's
it's 3:30. And then, Lupin Theory on Twitter. We are sort of in a pre-launch state. That's really just like where updates are going to be, cast drop, and where our schedule for our first season is going to be. It's going to have the whole lineup of films and Lupin Media to catch up on if you're so inclined. And keep your eyes peeled. We're hoping to have some stuff for you soon.
Steven.
You may follow me on Blue Sky at stephenpaul.bsky.social. And check out One Piece, Kanebanashi, and Showa Shoten in the Shonen Jump or Manga Plus apps.
Dan.
You can find me on Blue Sky at dan.onepiecePodcast.com, as well as over on Twitch at GA1C, and then hopefully sometime soon, figuring out schedules, get back on the Maji Media stream, which you can follow along over, also on Twitch at One Piece Podcast.
And also, if you haven't, check out the Grand Line. The Grand Line. Will hopefully be coming back sooner rather than later, but it's
fingers crossed.
it's the herding cats method of as Delaney also has mentioned. It's tough scheduling a large group of people.
Holidays, yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, and lives, and I mean, I'm not saying they're unreasonable.
Right.
I'm just
saying
it's
difficult. It's all good reasons to postpone.
Anyway. You can check out the podcast at OnePiecePodcast.com. Please subscribe on Patreon if you haven't. Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Episodes come out ad-free. So if you hate advertisements, like I do, which is why I waited so many years to put them in. 14.
He's honest, folks.
But
Good thing we don't do our own ad reads, so that'd be really awkward when.
No, I like reading my own ads. But anyway, if you want them ad free, they're all on patreon.com/One Piece Podcast, just $5 a month. You also get alternate images, alternate titles. The alternate images are always amazing. Please don't miss out on those. The entire Forced to Watch 4Kids series, still amazing, with Alex and Steve. I'm going to post some of the stuff related to this episode, including all of our episode images from the year, so you could just easily click through them and decide which is your favorite. And hopefully we'll have a lot more cool stuff for you next year on that end. You could also check us out on Blue Sky at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter at One Piece Podcast, Instagram, One Piece Podcast, the rest of them, Tumblr, OnePiecePodcast.tumblr.com. I don't think we posted anything there recently. And you could call us at our phone number. That's 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again, 347-497-6254. Call anytime. With your questions, comments, theories, or why the engine, the rail, and the fat conductor are your overlords. Last but not least, our 800th episode, which this is not, is coming out on January 7th. It will probably be a live episode on YouTube, so we'll post more information as we approach. Next week, we have our... it was originally going to be this week, but this week kind of obviously got nuts. So either next week or the week after, we're going to have our Sean Conrad interview from 4Kids Flashback. Look forward to that. It is a really good one. He is, as I think we've said before, the Forrest Gump of the rap/audio industry.
World.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Definitely listen to that. Well, we may also have the Norman Grossfeld interview, but if you want to check those out, they're available for free. 4kidsflashback.com or anywhere you get your podcasts. Last but not least, we have some really, really cool stuff. I'll say it here for the first time, since you listen for 2.5 hours. I don't even know if I've told everyone here this. We are going to have a new intro and music for the show composed for us. So legit. And we are also going to have a special 15th anniversary logo done by the person who is going to be doing the logo for the One Piece podcast Atlas, which is coming out next year to celebrate our 15th anniversary. So next year is going to be big as far as the podcast is concerned, and probably as far as One Piece is to be concerned, judging from this week. So look forward to all that. We'll see you we'll see you on January 7th. Until then, my name is Zach.
And my name is Steve.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Also, I didn't get the plug, but you know where to find
Oh.
me. But,
shit.
Happy holidays, everybody.
SteveYurko.com. ProZD plays games and all that.
So I started that. No, you don't have to put that in there. It's just funny.
No. Okay.
Happy holidays. See you next year, everybody.